And also I'm interested in the SEZ. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. My name is George Kapanadze. I'm a Group CFO of Rendeavor, owner of Tatu City, and I represent SEZs within Tatu City.
Good morning. Yeah, my name is Martin Gitahi from the banking industry, KCB Bank. I'm representing the managing director, KCB Bank. Thank you for invite.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Meshak Dwalo, representing Homa Bay County. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Abdul Razak Bonaya, representing the MD Mitchell Courts SEZ. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Paul Motuku, representing Compact FTZ.
Good morning. My name is Angela Mureithi, a legal officer in Twiga Foods, representing Twiga Tatu, our subsidiary.
Good morning. My name is Thomas Mwango, SEZ Operations Manager, Tatu City.
Morning. My name is Brian Odeng, Projects Manager, Express Shipping and Logistics.
Good morning. My name is Bryson Obanda, representing the National Construction Authority.
Good morning. My name is Pauline Jugu, Assistant Manager, Strategy and Planning, National Construction Authority. Thank you.
Morning. My name is Felix Mwinza, representing the ICRC.
Good morning. My name is Abraham Omonya, representing the ICRC Customs Compliance.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dean Shalor. I'm the Managing Director of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park, which is a SEZ developer, operator and enterprise. We own 100 acres on the Eastern Bypass, and we offer buildings in the SME market, and also ICRC, one of our tenants, buildings available to lease or purchase.
Good morning. My name is Joyce Njogu, Head of Consulting and Business Development at the Kenya Association of Manufacturers.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Anne Mofia Murungi. I'm a partner with Viva Africa Consulting. We support lots of SEZ enterprises, developers, and operators. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How have you been today? Yes, my name is Matthew Were. I'm a manager for a consulting firm, JKH Holding. We also work in collaboration with EPZ and CESA.
I think everyone has introduced themselves. Or there's one more. I'm told there's somebody at the back. Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Lucien Butuba, Shiptex Imports and Exports.
Excellent. There's one more group. I know you've seen the mic skipping some tables. I would like to ask all the members of Special Economic Zones, the management and the staff. You can stand wherever you are. I know Special Economic Zone seems a big name out there, but I'm sure you can see that's a team that offer you services. It's as small as is. We hope we'll grow bigger in the future through this document and as we grow together. Thank you. And finally, I would like to introduce the board members. They can say their names.
Thank you. My name is Guyo Joseph. I'm a CESA board member and a representative of the Principal Secretary from the State Department for Investments Promotion.
Okay, good morning. My name is David Ontweka, a board member representing the Commissioner General, Kenya Revenue Authority.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Chifalu, independent board member, stroke private sector. And I'm a member of this board, and we welcome you. It's good to see you and good to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you. We now know each other. I'm sure our expectation was this room was going to be a bit, we were expecting more people than this, but as you are aware, public participation is in every aspect of our lives. So we have this public participation going on here, and there's another one expected out there through the finance bill. And that could have interfered with the attendance here. Nonetheless, we appreciate you coming. It's such an important exercise as we are setting the direction for the authority in the next 5 years. Obviously, the reason why we are here is because just like the Constitution of Kenya demands, it is important that you have a say in what this entity, which is funded by the public, to operate, to offer the service. So we are here to get your input where necessary, and of course validate what the authority has developed through the board. Your views are heard, and where we need to make amendment as needed, we will accompany that. So your valuables, your insight into this is very important. We are setting up special economic zones in Kenya to compete globally. I'm sure many of you, every time you come to us, we keep asking you how many jobs, how much foreign currency you're going to bring us. Our intention of this program obviously is to have a global outreach. So those questions arise because we want to be a globally competitive entity. Governments around the world are competing through this program. We want to be at par with everyone else. Why? Because I think, as you've seen, there are challenges with employment. What is going on out there is partly because of unemployment that is quite high, and it is through this program that we expect you, the stakeholders, to help us and help Kenya government create the much needed job and mop out the unemployed people out there. And central to that is planning. Okay? Hence the reason why we must have this paper which will set the direction for which we will cover and reach where we want to be in the next 5 years. As we do that, there are other things that of course we have to embrace. Things such as sustainability in terms of environment, in terms of running these programs. We've created all the necessary structures, systems, given you the incentives, and we believe with all this put together, and with your cooperation, we believe we'll achieve it. So today's exercise is a validation. I know there may have been an error in some letters. We said launch. We'll be launching this program in another date in the future, probably in the next couple of weeks. But the most important one today is we need your feedback. Let us shape this document because it's very important. The fact that you took your time out of your business schedule cannot be taken for granted. I must say that. We would have engaged a lot more people, but we felt that you, being the players in the sector, are so key, and being given more time to interact. We may not have sent the document in advance, but I think it's now with you at the table. Please give us as much information as possible. Alongside this, we are also working in the region. As you are aware, last year we got the East African SEZ policy passed by the Council of Ministers. It's now in place. The regulations have been ongoing. There have been a few challenges. As you know, the EAC is a community of partner states, and everything that they do must be agreed mutually. So there have been some few areas that require clarifications, and hopefully we're trying everything possible to make sure that we, as the leaders in this region, explain to those members who are skeptical of the process, we bring them together. We also have other associations, such as, and I know Choice is here, and other stakeholders. We want to make sure that we are all at par. This program is not meant to cannibalize other industries. We need to coexist. We're also lucky that last year, the ministers of industry did accept special economic zones program as especially the goods coming from the SEZ to be accepted under the rules of origin. So that gives us leverage to access Africa through ACFTA. So there are many good things that have come with this program. One of the things you'll notice in our document is that under the current proposal to have regulation in East Africa is that EPZ is a program that will be recognized to be under SEZ. So we have to note that. Because Africa is trying to harmonize these two programs, EPZ and SEZ. So for now, it has been deemed as a scheme within an SEZ. And finally, we've also written a memo to the cabinet, and ministry is going to forward that. We want to enhance the laws around SEZ, so we'll be doing amendments. Time will come when we'll ask you again to come and input into that. So we'll be expecting to make some changes, introduce some good and better ideas that can enhance our program. So currently, that document is soon to be presented to the cabinet, and then from there it goes to the legislature, and we'll expect your strong participation, hopefully before the end of the year or early next year. So again, we'll continue engaging you. Don't get tired with us, and with the view to make sure that your program, that this program succeed, your business succeed. And finally, I would like, now that our chair has been given a small assignment, and I know he's going to join us shortly. As he's away, we will ask one of the board members to deliver a speech on his behalf. And I want to thank you for once again for the opportunity you've accorded us and for honoring our request to come for this important session. So with those not so many remarks, I want to ask Mr. Ontweka, who is an alternate to Commissioner General at KRA, to do the speech on behalf of the chairman.
Thank you, CEO. What do you want? Come on. Good morning again. Welcome to this session, and I've been given an assignment to read this speech on behalf of our board chair, who is engaged elsewhere. And I'll just say, I'll read it almost verbatim. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with a great pleasure that I welcome you all to this significant event of the Strategic Plan 2023-2027 Stakeholders Validation Workshop. I remember the CEO mentioning that today we are not launching, we are validating. So this is a validation session. Your presence here today underscores the collective commitment we share in driving Kenya towards a future of unparalleled economic growth and transformation. Today marks a pivotal moment for Special Economic Zones Authority as we gather to validate and define our strategic plan for the next 5 years. This plan is not merely a document, but a roadmap guiding us towards achieving our vision of becoming a globally competitive investment hub for economic transformation. The vision of the Special Economic Authority is to be globally competitive investment hubs for the economic transformation, which reflects our ambition to position Kenya as a leading destination for investors worldwide. It speaks to our determination to harness the full potential of our economic zones, making them catalysts for growth, innovation, and prosperity. Our mission is clear: to create a conducive environment for a globally competitive and sustainable investment destination through provision of enabling infrastructure, policy, legal, and institutional framework for economic transformation. This mission is the cornerstone of our strategic plan, shaping our actions and initiatives over the next 5 years. Our core values are the bedrock of our operations and strategic direction. That is excellency. We are committed to achieving the highest standards in our endeavors. Excellency is not just an aspiration, it is a way of life at the special economic zones. Transparency is openness and accountability as a fundamental to building trust with our stakeholders. We believe in clear, honest communication and decision making. Collaboration. We recognize that our success is built on strong partnerships. By working together with the government entities, private sector, and the international investors, we can achieve more than we could ever do alone. Innovation. In our capacity-changing world, innovation is key to staying ahead. We are dedicated to fostering a culture of creativity and forward thinking. Sustainability. Our initiatives are designed with a long-term perspective, ensuring that economic growth does not come at the expense of our environment and future generations. Investor focused. We prioritize the needs of our investors, understanding that their success is our success. By providing tailored support and a conducive business environment, we aim to attract and retain top-tier investors. Empowerment. We are committed to empowering our workforce and the communities within our zones, ensuring that economic benefits are widely shared. The Strategic Plan 2027 is a comprehensive framework designed to leverage Kenya's strategic advantages and includes several key initiatives. 1. Infrastructure development. Investing in the state-of-the-art infrastructure to support industrial activities. This includes transport networks, utilities, and digital connectivity. 2. Policy and regulatory reforms, streamlining policies and regulatory frameworks to create policy and regulations, streamlining policies and regulatory frameworks to create a more favorable investment climate. This involves reducing bureaucratic red tape and enhancing ease of doing business. Capacity building, developing skills and capabilities of our workforce to meet the demands of modern industries. This includes training programs and partnerships with educational institutions. Sustainable practices, integrating sustainability into all aspects of our operations. This means promoting green technologies and ensuring that development within our zones is environmentally responsible. Technology and innovation, embracing technological advancement to drive efficiency and competitiveness, and this includes fostering research and development and supporting tech startups. Stakeholder engagement, like what we are doing today, maintaining open lines of communication with all stakeholders to ensure their needs and feedback are integrated to our planning and implementation process. In conclusion, the strategic Plan 2023-2027 is not just a vision for the CESA, but a blueprint for Kenya's economic future. It is a call to action for all of us to work together, leveraging our strengths and addressing our challenges head-on. I urge all stakeholders present here today to actively participate in the validation process. Your insights, feedback, and cooperation are invaluable as we refine this plan to ensure it meets the needs and aspirations of all involved. Let's move forward with determination, excellence, and a spirit of cooperation. Thank you. And before maybe I put the mic down, I need just to mention what the CEO has just said about the regional participation. We seem to be the lead in terms of where we are in developing our special economic zones. So the rest of the region is going to mirror from us. And that gives us a very good start point. The regulations that were deferred for purposes of adoption to be used even within the partner states, it is something which happened, like we have said, you need to involve stakeholders. So one partner state requested that it needs to go back to its people to get their input before they approve the regulations for legislation to be applied within the East African community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. One more clap for him. I don't know how we're going to set the rules, but we have the consultant who will be doing this. Consultants, actually, they are now too, and we'll ask them to introduce themselves. So we want the best out of you. We want this program to reflect both the ambitions of this country, which will be executed by us and implemented by you. Okay? So I don't know how we are going to do this, but if we can give, whether we do it a presentation first and then we interact later, or we interact during the process. But the idea is this: by the end of today, we must have something, either at best or at worst what we have now, or at best through your input. And I don't want to spend more time on this. I just wanted to also, maybe one announcement. I'm sure you are aware that as an authority and as a country, we were selected last year to host the Africa-wide conference on African economic zones. So all the economic zones in Africa, or incentivized programs in Africa, will be converging to Nairobi later this year, and we'll want your maximum cooperation on the same. So we'll also continue engaging. That was just by the way. So without much ado, let me welcome the consultant who will take us through this program. Let us engage them with a view to make this document better. So karibu daktari.
Good morning. Yeah, Dr. Titus Mwanthi here. I'm an associate consultant. We have been working with the lead consultant. He will be coming to introduce himself as he takes us through the document, the strategic plan. And before I hand over to him, I want to mention that this has been a very interactive process to be where we are today. The document you are holding today, we have interacted with a number of quarters or stakeholders, starting with the management and the staff of CESA. And then later we also interacted with the board. It is bigger than the people you see here. There are more than this. And therefore it was a highly participative, highly interactive. We were able to get information and opinions and ideas from all corners. And that's why we have that document. As a consultant, I can say it without doubt that it's a very rich document. And it's a document that will enable Senza and you investors and everyone to move to the next level. That one I can say without doubt. And therefore, today we invite you to interact with the document, interact with us, give us your views, your observations, your opinions, so that now we can say we have a document that is ready and it will be our roadmap to move to the next level. And therefore, we want to thank you for your availability today, and we are looking forward to having a very productive session together. Thank you very much. Prof, you can say hi to these good people.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We don't seem to be energized. Is the environment affecting us? Good morning once again. Thank you, directors of the board, CEO, Daktari, stakeholders present. I'm reminded that if I'm not careful, I'll be the one between your tea break and the process. I have therefore indulged, and CEO, through your permission, it was of my view that in the next 5 minutes we take a tea break so that when we come back we have a session that is continuous without interruptions. Having said that, allow me just to make 1 or 2 comments. First, I would wish to introduce myself. I am by name Kennedy Ogola. Kennedy Ogola was the lead consultant and remains the lead consultant for CESA in this process. I'm a professor at the University of Nairobi, Faculty of Business and Management Sciences. We are based at Lower Kabete. For our alumni and stakeholders, it is known as Kabete Pesa. So that is where I'm based. I only wanted to assure you that we are compliant to the guidelines, and that is my second statement. The guidelines stipulated that we follow what was issued by the Treasury through the State Department of Economic Planning, and it revised the structure of the strategic plan, allowing us to therefore adopt an 8-chapter document as opposed to previously the 5-chapter document. We are also compliant to other policy directives, regulations, and executive orders. And I'm sure we have also picked something interesting, which is a new development, that EPZ is now a program under CESA. So if you look at the document which requires your input, you will notice we have also captured that. And ladies and gentlemen, with that assurance, CEO, I would wish to hand over the mic, then I will pick up after the tea break.
Thank you, Prof. Tuchangamke kidogo. Let's introduce 2 gentlemen who have just come in, and before we.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Matsushima, Special Economic Zone Advisor attached from Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, to CESA. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Philip Derito. I'm currently as a consultant on Special Economic Zones with JICA. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Derito has been in this process for quite some time, and Mr. Matsushima is the one who is supporting this program. And he has been supporting us. As you can see, he has even printed so that we interact with a document that is fairly complete. He's very sure that we did a good job, the consultants. But all the same, he's ready to improve it as much as you can improve it. Let's hear from another.
Hello everyone. My name is Richard. I come from Full Care. We're located in Kiambu, Tatu City.
Thank you. Full Care, they joined us the other day, and they have created quite a number of jobs, and we are very pleased with their work. So we will take a small break. We'll health break, 30 minutes. And when we come back, our professor will take us through what we went through, some of us. And then in case you have any contributions, any issues, they'll take them up, and we'll be able to engage again with the sponsor so that we can improve the document. We are also online. We have streamed this program live. So we have other people who are also logged in. So we are not the only ones. There are quite a number of people who have logged in. I'll check for you the numbers. So for now, I think CEO and the representatives of the board, we can have a break. Yeah. Jipigie makofi ya bure tu. Thank you.
A new dawn is here. Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, SEZA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AFCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for SEZs, excluding Naivasha SEZ, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. SEZA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first Chief Executive Officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zones incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for SEZ goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs SEZ. 6 new SEZs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City SEZ and Konza SEZ received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model SEZs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, during the 2023 ISO SEZ annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year, December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the SEZ Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, SEZA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha SEZ was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha SEZ were issued SEZ Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government SEZs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to SEZA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and gazettement of 9 zones in 2023 and 2024, bringing the total to 36, of which 14 are licensed. Notably, 5 are private gazetted and 4 are public. In terms of enterprise licensing, SEZA has licensed 49 enterprises, domiciled in respective zones, creating a total of 3,601 jobs with an investment of more than $172 million. In 2023 alone, 21 enterprises were licensed, investing about $32 million and creating more than 1,500 jobs. The remaining 10 have projected to invest about $179 million, aiming to create more than 8,000 jobs, a promising trajectory for economic growth. Kenya's industrial transformation is on an upward trajectory. According to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, this positive trajectory is expected to continue in 2024, with more investors expected to invest in Kenya, taking advantage of improved investment.
During the year, we've been able to fix the institutional capacity of the Special Economic Zone Authority. We have been able to fix the policy, legal and regulatory gaps that investors were facing. We are basically investor-centric, and we are being responsive to the investors' needs, investors' wants and investors' concerns. For going forward, we will be focusing on operational efficiency of the Special Economic Zone program. What we are going to do this 2024, for all those zones which have been gazetted, we will ensure that we are beginning to construct the development of those zones. And for those zones who are under development, we are going to ensure that we complete development and operationalize them for investor entry. And for those zones which have already been operationalized, we are going to focus on filling up the zone so that more industries can set up, we create jobs and export our goods to the rest of the world.
CESA, a catalyst for economic transformation and global recognition. Join us as we continue to shape a future of growth, innovation, and sustainable success. A new dawn is here. Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, CESA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AfCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for SEZs, excluding Naivasha SEZ, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. CESA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first Chief Executive Officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zone's incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for SEZ goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs SEZ. 6 new SEZs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City SEZ and Konza SEZ received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model SEZs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, during the 2023 ISO SEZ annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year, December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the SEZ Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, SEZA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha SEZ was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha SEZ were issued SEZ Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government SEZs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to SEZA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and gazettement of 9 zones in 2023 and 2024, bringing the total to 36, of which 14 are licensed. Notably, 5 are private gazetted and 4 are public. In terms of enterprise licensing, SEZA has licensed 49 enterprises, domiciled in respective zones, creating a total of 3,601 jobs with an investment of more than $172 million. In 2023 alone, 21 enterprises were licensed, investing about $32 million and creating more than 1,500 jobs. The remaining 10 have projected to invest about $179 million, aiming to create more than 8,000 jobs, a promising trajectory for economic growth. Kenya's industrial transformation is on an upward trajectory. According to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, this positive trajectory is expected to continue in 2024, with more investors expected to invest in Kenya, taking advantage of improved investment.
During the year, we've been able to fix the institutional capacity of the Special Economic Zone Authority. We have been able to fix the policy, legal, and regulatory gaps that investors were facing. We are basically investor-centric, and we are being responsive to the investors' needs, investors' wants, and investors' concerns. For going forward, we will be focusing on operational efficiency of the Special Economic Zone program. What we are going to do this 2024, for all those zones which have been gazetted, we will ensure that we are beginning to construct the development of those zones. And for those zones who are under development, we are going to ensure that we complete development and operationalize them for investor entry. And for those zones which have already been operationalized, we are going to focus on filling up the zone so that more industries can set up, we create jobs and export our goods to the rest of the world.
SEZA, a catalyst for economic transformation and global recognition. Join us as we continue to shape a future of growth, innovation, and sustainable success. A new dawn is here. Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, SEZA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AfCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for CESs, excluding Naivasha CES, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. CESA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first chief executive officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zone's incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for CES goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs CES. 6 new CESs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City CES and Konza CES received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model CESs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development UNCTAD during the 2023 ISO CES annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year, December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the CES Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, CESA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha CES was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha CES were issued CES Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government CESs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to CESA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and gazettement of 9 zones in 2023 and 2024, bringing the total to 36, of which 14 are licensed. Notably, 5 are private gazetted and 4 are public. In terms of enterprise licensing, CESA has licensed 49 enterprises, domiciled in respective zones, creating a total of 3,601 jobs with an investment of more than $172 million. In 2023 alone, 21 enterprises were licensed, investing about $32 million and creating more than 1,500 jobs. The remaining 10 have projected to invest about $179 million, aiming to create more than 8,000 jobs, a promising trajectory for economic growth. Kenya's industrial transformation is on an upward trajectory. According to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, this positive trajectory is expected to continue in 2024, with more investors expected to invest in Kenya, taking advantage of improved investment.
During the year, we've been able to fix the institutional capacity of the Special Economic Zone Authority. We have been able to fix the policy, legal and regulatory gaps that investors were facing. We are basically investor-centric and we are being responsive to the investors' needs, investors' wants and investors' concerns. For going forward, we will be focusing on operational efficiency of the Special Economic Zone program. What we are going to do this 2024, for all those zones which have been gazetted, we will ensure that we are beginning to construct the development of those zones And for those zones who are under development, we are going to ensure that we complete development and operationalize them for investor entry. And for those zones which have already been operationalized, we are going to focus on filling up the zone so that more industries can set up, we create jobs and export our goods to the rest of the world.
CESA, a catalyst for economic transformation and global recognition. Join us as we continue to shape a future of growth, innovation, and sustainable success. A new dawn is here. Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, CESA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AFCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for SEZs, excluding Naivasha SEZ, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. CESA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first Chief Executive Officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zones incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for SEZ goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs SEZ. 6 new SEZs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City SEZ and Konza SEZ received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model SEZs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, during the 2023 ISO SEZ annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year, December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the SEZ Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, CESA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha SEZ was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha SEZ were issued SEZ Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government SEZs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to CESA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and gazettement of 9 zones in 2023 and 2024, bringing the total to 36, of which 14 are licensed. Notably, 5 are private gazetted and 4 are public. In terms of enterprise licensing, SEZA has licensed 49 enterprises, domiciled in respective zones, creating a total of 3,601 jobs with an investment of more than $172 million. In 2023 alone, 21 enterprises were licensed, investing about $32 million and creating more than 1,500 jobs. The remaining 10 have projected to invest about $179 million, aiming to create more than 8,000 jobs, a promising trajectory for economic growth. Kenya's industrial transformation is on an upward trajectory. According to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, this positive trajectory is expected to continue in 2024, with more investors expected to invest in Kenya, taking advantage of improved investment.
During the year, we've been able to fix the institutional capacity of the Special Economic Zone Authority. We have been able to fix the policy, legal and regulatory gaps that investors were facing. We are basically investor-centric and we are being responsive to the investors' needs, investors' wants and investors' concerns. For going forward, we will be focusing on operational efficiency of the Special Economic Zone program. What we are going to do this 2024, for all those zones which have been gazetted, we will ensure that we are beginning to construct the development of those zones, and for those zones who are under development
and sustainable success. A new dawn is here. Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, SEZA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AfCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for SEZs, excluding Naivasha SEZ, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. SEZA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first Chief Executive Officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zone's incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for SEZ goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs SEZ. 6 new SEZs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City SEZ and Konza SEZ received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model SEZs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development UNCTAD during the 2023 ISO SEZ annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the SEZ Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, SEZA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha SEZ was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha SEZ were issued SEZ Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government SEZs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to SEZA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and
continue. You can start the presentation of the strategic plan 2023-2027. Thank you.
Good morning once more. Good morning once more. Thank you. I've been tasked with the assignment to take us through the Special Economic Zones Authority, abbreviated as SEZA, 2023-2027 Strategic Plan. And I want to report that the content of this document belongs to the authority. And therefore, our contribution will be to enhance the planning schedule for the authority. Before I proceed, I would wish to clarify something about the dates, because there's always a lot of concern around the dates. The timing of the strategic plan is aligned to the 5th cycle, which is also aligned to the medium-term planning period based on the Vision 2030. And currently we are on the 4th medium-term strategic planning period and the 5th cycle for the government institutions. The period, therefore, should read, for us to realize the 5 years, 2023-2024 financial year to 2027-2028 financial year. I thought it was important to clarify that, because sometimes you get a few questions about why 2023. Secondly, I wanted to also make a clarification that the financial year 2023-2024 is lapsing in the next 5 or so days. And for that reason, it is important to note that part of what is in this document is already being implemented. So it is not that there was a vacuum. Part of it is already undergoing implementation. So as we speak, you may actually see certain things that have already been realized, and that is for our good. In terms of the outline, again, nothing much to worry about. We will be looking at the introduction, and then we will follow chapter by chapter, just to allow us to be able to engage. And at the end of it all, we will have gone through 8 chapters and will allow for interactions. A little bit about the background. I'd wanted to stay there, but looks like this is not helping me much, so allow me to move here. I want to give a background. And on the background, it is important again for us, through CEO and directors, to let every participant here appreciate that the purpose for this is what we call a validation exercise. And therefore, at the end, it will be upon me as the consultant to call for movement of a motion asking you if you are validated. So that is the purpose. We will go through all the processes, but as part of public participation, we must then record that we indeed validated. However, part of the validation includes the number of things which are indicated. One, we want to ensure that we are consistent with your expectations as the key stakeholders. So if you find anything that seems to conflict either your aspirations or your expectations, this will be the point at which we would anticipate that you'll give us feedback. And I appreciate that we have different stakeholders, and we'll be seeing them shortly. You may find what works for the other person may be conflicting with you. We have to find a middle ground. The second thing is ownership. Remember, CESA is an authority and is a state agency, and therefore is meant to serve all of us. For it to fully function and meet its mandate, we will expect that at the end, not only do we own this document together with them, but we also support the initiatives that they have taken. We will expect you to look for what we call the blind spots. Are you able to identify possibly any areas that you feel might hinder the mandate of CESA or even hinder service delivery to you as a stakeholder? We'll also have to look at how do we support the honorable men and women tasked by the government as board members, together with the honorable men and women tasked by the board to be the managers, so that they are able to make decisions that are beneficial to all of us. Lastly, we intend at the end of this to have collectively developed a robust, realistic, and an adaptable instrument that will help us within the changing environment. So ideally, that is the purpose of this exercise. But now let's take a deep dive into what this document has. And as we do this, please note that the copy that you have, though printed, is your copy, and you can make notes on it because it is not final. So scribble on it if you have to. I bet that our friends from JICA will be glad to print the final copy, even in a better look. So this one, use it as your notebook. I am now starting to deal with chapter 1. And in chapter 1, the first thing you find is the imperative of strategy. And if you look at the imperative of strategy, you realize that CESA has recognized that without this strategic plan, they will be walking in the dark. Subsequent to that, the context of the plan has taken in an assessment of all the national development priorities, together with regional and global plans. Amongst them, and that's what now I present, this strategic plan addresses issues in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. It has looked at the Kenya Vision 2030. And directors and CEO, allow me to be very particular about the years. There's something about those years that I would wish we store. Constitution of Kenya, which year? Kenya Vision, medium term plan, I talked about it. And this is the fourth one. We can see the time, 2023, 2027. Are we familiar with the plan? Popularly known as BETA. And if you look at BETA now, you see that it operates within the political window, 2022 to 2027. We have the East Africa Community, and East Africa Community operates on a vision, ladies and gentlemen. For which year? You know, I want us to be a little bit active. I know the breakfast was laxed, and most of us served a couple of portions, right? sampling everything. East African Community has a vision for which year? 2050. Then we have the AU. AU does not have a vision. It has a what? An agenda. For which year? 2063. Then we have the United Nations, which also has an agenda. For which year? And we have paid attention to all regional, international, and not only the treaties but convention. The CEO made some comments to this. And if we are keen, you must have heard him saying, we will be hosting, we will be hosting, we are members of this, we are leading this in the region, in the globe. So those are the things we are referring to. Now, in terms of the strategic planning process, it was a four-step approach. How does strategic plan start? It starts through a very consultative internal process where a committee is usually set. And that was done. I want to believe, and for purposes of validation, Mr. Victor Mageto, you could stand up, they see you, as a confirmation that there was a committee. And to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Mageto headed that committee. So you can already validate that the strategic initiation was done properly. Thank you, Bwana Mageto. There is then the strategy development. And to this we will see what happened. Scanning of the environment took the liberty to assess your expectations, which you will today validate. We also did an assessment of the past, and then the management was able to define the strategic direction. Step number 3, which is where we are today, is now the validation process. And the validation process takes a number of approaches. The first is what we are doing, dissemination of the draft. And I want to report that the printed version of what you have is also available on the website of CESA and has been sitting there for those who are able to access it online. So that dissemination was done and has been a couple of days to ensure that public participation has taken place. We have presented to the board, and the directors are present. They were introduced earlier, just to confirm that they have participated. But more importantly, when we finish this process, there is the next stage. The guidelines did instruct that every MDA, every SAGAS, every independent commission, and the judiciary must submit the final version of their strategic plan to the State Department for Planning, Economic Planning. So once you validate it, we will put in what you have contributed and we will submit it. That will complete the validation process, which only leaves us with one process, which CEO already alluded to, and that will be the launch. After the launch, CESA can then now go into full implementation, including cascading. Chapter 2. I told you I'll take a walk with you on the document. Talks about the strategic direction, and here is where we start discussing real business. The proposed, still says proposed, vision statement for CESA reads as follows: to be a globally competitive investment hub for economic transformation. I want you to reflect that. Globally competitive investment hubs for economic transformation. If anybody wants to know why hubs and not hub, I'm sure you'll get a response to that. Let's be very particular about what we have written. It is hubs for economic transformation. Usually the vision is good if we all repeat it. Let's just try. Let's read it. Synchronize. 1, 2, 3. We go. Now I know it has gotten into the RAM. If I now follow the Gen Z, we know where the RAM is, eh? The storage hub, eh? It has gotten there. In terms of the mission statement, CESA aims to create a conducive environment for their vision for a globally competitive and sustainable investment destination. And you could stop there, because that's the mission statement, the how it will be done. And they now qualify it by speaking as to what they will do through, now this is important for us stakeholders, provision of enabling infrastructure. I'm sure all of us are interested in that. Policy, legal, and institutional framework. I'm sure that's the bedrock of this conversation. And all these geared towards economic transformation. I'll not go into the core values. These are largely internal. But more important are the last two. That as they aim to meet their vision through their mission, CESA is guaranteeing you of an investor-focused approach. If they don't do that, this is usually the marking scheme. If they fail in any of these, they have failed you. Because the core values is the things that underline this success. So if you leave everything at the top, these two at the bottom are unique. One, they have promised an investor-focused approach. And at the very bottom, when I see you, I heard you, and chair for the day, I also heard you. You all reinforce the issue of empowerment. Empowerment, empowerment. We know where that conversation goes to. Out of these, we identified 4 goals. Goal number 1 is to attract and enhance investment into the special economic zones. Goal is what you intend to achieve. So they intend to attract and enhance investments into the special economic zone. Ladies and gentlemen, the special economic zones are gazetted, but CESA has the duty to attract and enhance investment there. So that's the first goal they have set. Number 2 is that they must, or rather they intend to enhance an integrated infrastructural development. And if you're following keenly, on every slide that I've tried to put as a, I'll just go to this as an example, you will notice that the dividers, I have put some of the things going on. Here you can see the Freeport zone, just as a demonstration. It is good for us to appreciate why that goal is critical for us. Number 3 is to strengthen the legal regulatory framework for investments into the zones. That's another goal. And you've heard from the initial conversations that part of the thing is they are bringing everybody, not only you as investors here today, you as financiers here today, you as government agencies here today, you as the general public here today, but they are saying they are bringing everybody, including in the community. They've talked about AFTAG. They've talked about the global bodies, so that the legal and regulatory framework is strengthened for investment. Lastly, they have purpose to enhance their own institutional capacity. And out of all these, they then make a statement. I would wish to acknowledge that CESA's policy statement on quality, and I speak with authority, I would agree to be challenged, is the shortest quality policy statement, directors and CEO, that I've come across. Let's clap for them. It has no stories. It has no bullets. It simply says, CESA is committed to provide quality services to, I wish I'd underlined it, to any investors. That's the shortest quality policy statement that I've come across. Most of the policy statement we have bullets, and you can reflect. Those of us who run organizations, just look at, you list a number of things, knowing very well you don't intend to do them. Sometimes it's just better to be crisp clear, like they have done. Let's go to chapter 3. And chapter 3 is an environmental scan. We used to call it environmental scan. These days we call it situational and stakeholder analysis. But purely it's just scanning your environment. And CESA was able to look at their macro environment. Again, allow me to be the mwalimu that I am. When you see an A, because the pronunciation may misguide us, but when you see an A, it means big. When you see an I, can we pronounce the one with an I? A is macro. With an I becomes micro. The two are usually confusing. When you see the I, it is the smaller one. So we looked at the bigger environment. And the bigger environment is made up of a very simple abbreviation known as PESTEL. In more advanced conversation, we call it PESTELE. So we add another E at the end. But for CESA, we stopped at PESTEL. They were able to look at the political issues. And here we are looking at issues that can either hinder or enhance your performance. And indeed, they are political issues. Let's not even focus internally, but think about just regional and continental integrations. These things have serious impact. We've just talked about AFTA. We've talked about the community. And you said some member retreated. They said they go and consult first. So you can imagine when they are consulting and you're members of a community, it means you pause. Those are political issues that can affect you. And then we have the economic issues. One is fresh in our minds. It's a conversation ongoing. And you can see it there. I don't want to point at it. You can see it. It's in bracket, right? Those are conversations that can affect investor confidence. Then we go to issues of demographic changes. Again, right in front of our eyes, alive today. Most of you in this room only inform the top 5% of the population demographics. Accept it. If you're over 50 here, up to the longest living person, you are just about 5.7% of the population today. Below 50, to those who are being birthed today, is about 95%. So we cannot ignore those things. And it's a global trend. They also paid attention to technological issues, particularly advancements. But more importantly, the buzzword, digitalization, which will anchor very heavily infrastructural issues. Under ecological issues, we today cannot pretend. You are not going to create zones, ladies and gentlemen, that are not responsive, one, to climate change. Two, to the SDGs, 17 of them. That is the UN agenda that we are talking about. You cannot pretend that we do not have what we call the circular economy. How many of us are manufacturers here? Just by show of hands. Manufacturing, those from manufacturing? Yeah, represented. At least I picked 3. So in manufacturing, we cannot pretend that we can't pay attention to circular economy. And just to give an insight into circular economy, you may want to look at the government's pronouncements in Nairobi and why we are clearing our water pathways to a distance of 30 what? 30 what from the surface of the water? Homework for those of us who are not clear. We cannot pretend that we do not have the blue economy. We know what the blue economy is about. We have those resources in our water masses. And then we now have the many legal issues. Some of the legal issues just involve even integrating between the devolved and national government. CESA operates at the national level, functions at the devolved level. So you have to integrate. The national level could be saying this. And during the break, allow me, directors and CEO, to just report something on this. I did meet an investor who excited me, how I wish I could make decisions, of how they're trying to set up manufacturing in certain devolved spaces. I'll not mention them. And the challenges they are having there. Where you actually can't place why within one region, one devolved unit is non-supportive. The other devolved unit, which is bounding it, is fully receptive. So those are the challenges we are saying, that legal frameworks will be a challenge for CESA. Then we look at, if I could just go back a step, out of this, the Pestele, CESA was now able to extract, and I could take you to your document. You'll find certain tables there. I may not remember from where I'm standing the table number. You'll find a table that talks about opportunities and threats. It came out of this. You then move on and look at the micro environment with an I. And in the micro environment, we come inside the organization, the internal environment. And in there, you'll find a whole analysis that looks at, one, the governance and administrative structures of CESA. Is it robust? They have given a description of what they think it is. You find conversations around resources and capabilities. They have given a narrative on it. And you find conversations around their internal business processes, out of which, ladies and gentlemen, CESA has been able to demonstrate that they draw their strengths and weaknesses. Now, it's important for us to appreciate that. Our opportunities and threats were identified from the Pestel analysis. Our strengths and weaknesses are identified from the internal environment. And this is all captured there. Again, I would expect some conversation around that, ladies and gentlemen. Because it is possible for one to say, my strength is, my opportunities are. But when you ask about your threats, most of the time we go quiet. Woe unto us when we asked about our weaknesses. We don't make disclosures. In fact, if it was a human resource activity, human beings, just like organizations, tend to shy from saying their weaknesses. But CESA has documented them, and you'll be able to see them. Then we move on to the analysis of past performance, and it starts with the achievement. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, just to say CESA has done so much in the short time. And at this point, I want to recognize JICA's advice and support. This achievement would have not been possible, one, without the government fully supporting CESA and having confidence in it today to make EPZ a project within CESA. This would have not been possible without JICA offering some of the most advanced advices based on their own experiences. So I'll not read through them, but if you go through the document, we are able to interact with them. We then look at the next set of things, which are the challenges. And these ones I would like us to pay attention to. What are some of the challenges that CESA in the past has encountered? One is low staffing. Already being addressed, but it is a challenge. During interaction, probably, CEO, you may want to tell them your journey and where you are today. Just on staffing. So that you can understand that these achievements, and I'm not making it sensational, it's the truth. This achievement has been possible, and ladies and gentlemen, if the country operated like this, or even you as a person, if you operated like that, will be a great country. Has been achieved with the most minimal staff that an organization at the level of an authority can have. Maybe, Banasio, you could just mention, how many people have you worked with today to achieve this, at least this 13?
So as of December last year, we went up to 23. But leading to April last year, remember there was no substantive office. So the technical people were around 3, 5. They kept changing because of ministry giving us people and withdrawing them. So the gazettemen and all these were done by no more than 4 people since inception. So it's been a long journey, difficult, but we are where we are because of dedication and more importantly, the support from JICA, because up to date they've given us 3 personnel, and they've stood with us for a long time. The ministry have been supportive. They give us one day some 2 or 3 people. They withdraw 2 years later. It's been a long journey.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure, honestly, if it's believable. Not more than 4 people have been running this authority, and it's only now that they have gotten to 23 in terms of establishment. But you can see the massive accolade. I hope if they're hearing, but I saw they have given you already 1 honor, they should give you another one, because I've seen people having multiple honors. HSC, BS, I know you have one, but it's okay. This is great. Can we clap for them, honestly? 4 people have been able to deliver that, but they have had challenges. The second thing is the issue of disbursements, the usual. Not for their making and budget cuts, because of our way of functioning as a government. But now it's being streamlined, so we hope it will be better. Digitalization, I talked about it. It's because where they were coming from, most processes started manually, and that was challenging. So there will be an observation of high investment in terms of technology. Yes, they have the zones, but the zones were barely just gazetted lands, like I said. So there was a struggle over this time to build up industrial spaces. On-site facilities, slow development of some of these activities, and the list can go on and on and on and on. It's the reality, is what we know. In terms of lessons learned, I would want to skip this, but if you go to your document on the page that has lessons learned, I want to invite us, please read some of the lessons learned. These lessons speak to most of us, including the investors who are here, because you'll go through this. This is a government agency at the level of an authority reporting their lessons learned. Please go through them, and you'll be quite excited to borrow from most of them. If I've left you out, please tell me. Investors, are we here? This is the stakeholder list. It's just a mapping. Investors, you can raise your hand. Some of us don't like talking. Just raise it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Be blessed. Ministry, and I am talking about the parent ministry. Oh, beautiful. We are represented. Sorry. Anybody who is coming from the MDAs, from any of the state agencies, from any of the constitutional bodies, or even from any of the judiciary. Oh, they are here. You can see we are represented. Thank you. I'm taking stock, so please just participate. The board is there. I don't want to ask them. I've seen them. County government. Yes, I interacted with a few. Yes, county governments are represented. 47, 1 representative. Speaks, 47, 1 representative. Employees, we are here, right? And I'm also under the authority of the board currently. Employees, we are here. Thank you. Service providers. Anybody who is here? Our crew, thank you. I'm not sure about this, but once the county governments are represented, then we also take recognition of the assemblies. That's the legislative bodies, whether national or international affiliates. We are here? Thank you. The most important one. Okay? Development partners. Again, you see, when somebody gives their heart, they give everything. You can see wearing many hats. And among the 4, by the way, has been there with them. Judiciary or legal representatives. Maybe not judiciary, but we have legal representatives. You're a lawyer, you're an advocate present. Beautiful, thank you. I was getting worried. Media, yes, we can see them. The general public, I also fall in that category. So I'm here. So doing our stock taking, you can see we are there. And I'm also wearing the other hat. So I've now been an employee. I've been general public. And you can see I come last. I represent all the learning institutions, academia, and research institutions, together with my colleague, Dr. Mwadhi. So directors and CEO want to confirm that we are fully represented. We can't say we left out any single stakeholder on our mapping. Let's go to chapter 4. This is where now the real conversation starts. We have talked about the goals. But remember, I told you the goals are what you want to achieve. So the 4 of them are there. Oh.
Less membership organizations. They are not in your summary.
Thank you for screaming. Yes. The Secretariat, you are taking note of that? We left out professional bodies. That's a crime because we are all guided here. Mmesikia, I'll not repeat. And business membership organization. This is where the KEPSA falls in. My true apologies that we omitted that. This is where there are many, I'll not even go into them, including private security, are all there. Now, I said that the goals, we already talked about them. But how do we arrive at goals? It's important for us to appreciate. How did Caesar do this? Caesar did not just identify the goals. I know we talked about them earlier. But they first identified the strategic issues. What are these things that keeps bedeviling Caesar? And one of the things is, how do we attract investments? You are an authority tasked with overseeing all the economic zones, and particularly the special ones. Out of that, they arrived at a goal. But the goal cannot be measured. So corresponding to that goal is a result area, number 1. Now, KRA is bolded on this side. Key result area. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything that we'll want to do with Caesar, mid-term of this strategic plan or at the end term, is to now look at the level of investment in this country. That's now the key result area. You started with a problem of how to attract investment. You have put a goal that you will not only attract, but you'll enhance investment. But we are saying, for us to know whether you've achieved it, and when you go into your document in chapter 8, I'm just moving ahead for those of us who will be quick with me, you will find a table given there that gives you even the baseline. So it's not guesswork. We are starting at a point where we're asking ourselves, what is your level today? So that tomorrow when we ask you, we had something. Including if it is 0. Then we'll know you brought 1. And we can now calculate the level. Number 2 was development of integrated infrastructure. Remember, they started manual. And we are saying the key result out of that infrastructure improvement is to create a sustainable and globally competitive economic zone. Can that be measured? Yes. We will see how. In terms of the legal and regulatory framework, their main job is to facilitate that framework. And Caesar has committed to working with all government agencies, including all the stakeholders here, to have an environment that will assist that. Then lastly is the institutional capacity. That is what chapter 4 is about. Chapter 5, again, this is something familiar to us. It's part of what Caesar does. But chapter 5 focuses on the projected performances. There is a table, table 5.1, we've made express reference to it, which gives a lot of details on that on a year-to-year basis for the whole period. So I'll not go into that. Out of which Caesar has identified 9 strategic objectives. I will be reading them out shortly. Allow me, dear stakeholders present and those online, to appreciate that the point when it will come to measurements, the thing that we can measure eventually is the objectives. That's why many of us here appreciate that you keep being reminded that objectives must be smart. Because they are what can be measured. So please pay attention to the objectives that CESA has derived. And there are 9 in total. Corresponding to those objectives, CESA has then been able to give you their strategies. And here I'll want to read the strategies very quickly. There are many, but I'll want to read them. So against increasing investment, and you can see it is not only specific, it is measurable. CESA is convinced it is achievable. CESA is convinced it is realistic. CESA has a timeline to do it, 5 years. Not only that, they have even gone beyond SMART. Is it inspiring? Moving from 4 people doing what they have done to 23 with a possibility of 99, we are waiting to see. So what is it that they will do against that? The strategies are highlighted. I just talked about pointing out to some of them. People must know CESA. People must know CESA. If you are not known, you don't exist. And that's why we say, I'll not use that word, but failure to know has to do with knowledge. But it is also important that not knowing does not constitute a void. It is only you who doesn't know. So CESA will purpose to be known. Very important. The issue of brand identity, dissemination, investment mission targeting, establishing partners, it's a heavy job. And that is what will move them from where they are to a 20% annual increment. Please note that 20% annual increment. We are not talking of 20% in the next 5 years. So it's a steep one, which brings us to the second issue beyond SMART. Challenging. They have also taken the challenge, not only inspirational but challenging. Objective number 2 under KRA 2 is to complete the Naivasha CES 1 infrastructure within the next 5 years. I hope investors and those present, we are aware of Naivasha CES 1. And in there is a fleet of activities, resource mobilization, effective project delivery. And the beautiful thing is Naivasha CES 1 is already operational. I'm sure we know what is happening there. When I see you and directors, you may want to disseminate some information about it later. Objective number 3 under KRA 2 is provide sustainable integrated infrastructure to all, underline the word all the zones. I think I don't need to qualify that, if you allow me. Objective number 4, which is under KRA 3, is to strengthen the legal and regulatory framework, starting with the Act itself. And I did hear CEO, I tend to listen a little bit more keenly, probably than myself. I heard you saying you've done a CAB memo. Now, CAB memo, cabinet memo, is not a document to be joked with. So I'm sure that part of what is contained in the CAB memo is strengthening of the Act. Then support laws for investments. And we would want to hear them from you. Maybe not in this forum, in other forums. What are these investment support laws that are needed? And then disputes are always there. Why you always go to courts? Even courts have offered opportunity for ADRs. CESA is saying they will encourage ADR for dispute resolutions. Objective number 5 is now not only to strengthen the framework, but to strengthen and promote collaborations, both facilitative and regulatory. And to do this, a number of activities are needed. One is surveillance, close surveillance. Those from the medical field, you know what we talk about. When we survey, particularly when you're dealing with blood, we talk about hemovigilance. So here, I don't know what we'll call it. Maybe investment vigilance. Something like that, right? Surveillance. Then compliance. And as authority, they must enforce. Will be tough. I hope we have a division for enforcement. Then, of course, the last one brings us objective number 6, attract, recruit. And we have a problem. We attract and recruit, but retaining is always a bit of a problem. So I know we have moved from 4 to 23, but I hope as we continue attracting, we'll retain. Ladies and gentlemen, again, let's agree, we are faced with a tough time. Those younger than us falling into the other brackets, who are slowly moving to the forefront, are not only difficult to understand, but difficult to manage. You can see where they put us, the Gen Z. So retaining them is hard. Some of them resign the same day they join, but they stay with you for 10 years. I don't know how you can figure that. HR practitioners, you know what I'm talking about. They resigned the day you appointed them, but they are with you for 10 years. You can imagine how you manage such a person. You do an interview for them when you finish. You know that golden question? The one we always ask. Do you have any question for the panel? Most of us would ask, if I qualify, when do I join? This was, we'll ask you now, tell me why I should work for this company. That's off the cuff, but you understand what I'm saying. Which brings us to a second objective, objective number 7, under institutional capacity. Strengthen organizational processes and systems. CESA being a young company, and that's why you are seeing this is heavy. It looks very heavy, because this is one area they have to work on very hard. Being a young company, you need a lot of preparedness for institutional capacity. And lastly, we have objective number 8 and number 9. One is excellence. And true, if you're a new employee in CESA, you've walked into a space of excellence. That culture must be maintained. And to do that, performance measurements, mentorship, role modeling, value-based cultures are some of the things that they're saying we will approach this. Lastly, they purpose to establish a school for special economic zones as a premium institution. And one may ask, why did they take this bold move? CESA Kenya, now let me add the word Kenya after it, is the trailblazer in the region. And therefore, people will be coming to benchmark. Rather than wait for them, we are inviting them. Come over. We will walk with you. That takes us to chapter 6. And in chapter 6, we have the implementation and coordination framework. Here, I would not want to say much, if you allow me, as I now come towards the end. All these things that have been done, up to the activities. Remember, we have stopped at the strategies. But the strategies are further broken into activities. The activities are given timelines on a yearly basis. The activities are given a corresponding budget. Ladies and gentlemen, all that is contained in about 23 pages of that document in table 6.1. Where you can now go to all those things we have mentioned, broken down to the lowest activity possible, with corresponding timeline and corresponding budget. Because of that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to report only 2 things. One, the strategic plan, according to the 5th cycle guidelines, has been propelled to be the key document for performance in this country. Therefore, the performance contract will be drawn out of the strategic plan. And I want to believe that the current one was drawn from there, and you have already prepared the one for the new financial year, which is also being drawn from there. But against that, they have purposed to do their annual work plans. Remember, I talked about cascading in the beginning. In terms of institutional framework, I want to report all these are already there, but you can read more about them in the document. There's a governance structure, and you can clearly see the board is there, fully constituted, with the CEO as the secretary to the board. The organizational structure, which is also somewhere in the document, the bigs are clear management, including career progression. our new employees, the career progression is in the structure. You can see, and you can see the black holes. The black holes means the holes that are not filled. You can take them up, grab them. You guys move with speed. Systems, we have discussed that. Policies and procedures, we've discussed that. In terms of staff and competencies, we have already talked about this at the very bottom here. CEO already alluded to it. The staffing is now at 23, but there's still a variance. Are there risks? I wouldn't want to go into assumptions, but are there risks for this strategic plan? We observed a number of areas of risk for the strategic plan. Allow me, in the interest of our engagement after this, we can now go specifics when we go to the plenary. We have strategic risks. Some of the strategic risks include pronouncements. Remember, I did allude to certain instruments. Executive orders is a strategic risk. Then we have operational risks. We have just talked about retention. Retention is an operational risk. You can recruit 23, and you wake up tomorrow and find you're remaining with the original 4. Those are operational risks. What if infrastructure, which you have targeted to invest digitalization, doesn't happen? It's an operational risk. Then we have supervisory risk. The more the people come in, the more you have supervisory challenges. Because my sister over here starts bringing in professional conduct guidelines. Then you realize that the person who's managing your financial accounts payables does not meet the ISPAC standards. You start getting worried. True, my sister? Your HR person lacks the CPEs. Hey, trouble starts. Those are supervisory risks. And they're alive. The more you grow, the more this is coming. Financial risks, we'll see that. That is a big one for CESA. Technological risks, of course, they are going to go robustly into technology, digitalization. But now we are all alive to it. You've seen what's happening in our environment. I don't want to talk about it again. Your system can crash, or it can be made to crash. So you can imagine all those data. Somewhere they talked about collecting investment data. There's also the potential, and that's why we have an act under data protection, of some of those being used wrongly. Then we have reputational risk. We just talked about building the brand. And of course, we have the legal regulatory risks, which I wouldn't want to go into details. The chapter that usually attracts the most interest, and probably this is where I'll end, directors and CEO, the resource requirements and mobilization strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go to chapter 7, it starts by assuring you that every guideline possibly provided under the PFM Act 2012 will be followed in managing the finances. Then it goes ahead to tell you the amount is splashed there, what is required for this strategic plan to be realized. I hope I've captured it well. Yes, there it is. And at each level, you can see the investment spread. The infrastructure is almost taking everything. And remember, it had been said in all zones. So you can understand. Again, directors and CEO, you'll want to clarify how many zones you have and how the hubs are categorized, so that people can understand the justification. Part of the problem we've had is we don't tell people the truth. So the truth needs to come out. Those hubs are many. If you are going to put them under integrated infrastructure, it needs that money. It's not a lot of money, but it could also be a lot. Does that mean CESA is able to finance this budget? The answer is no. There are big gaps. There are big gaps, and the gaps are there. I've just paused there so that it can sink. The gap is there. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to again recognize CESA on this. There's been a big debate about neutral budgets surplus budgets, deficit budgets. This is one organization that has boldly stood out to be counted with a deficit budget, with a very clear picture of how that deficit will be closed in the next 5 years. Without going into the details, A in A, appropriation in aid, technical and financial support, private-public partnerships. I know those of us from the public side like saying public-private. It's a question of which one you want to put first. But that partnership. And I'm glad to say, directors and CEO, that now we have a framework. Those of us who are following keenly are aware that the Office of the Attorney General just did release a circular last week, I think on Thursday or Friday, giving guidelines on some of this, particularly on foreign organizations. Then we have stakeholder engagement, and we are here. And you have seen the deficit. CESA will be engaging you, because some of these you can bridge very fast for them. Then technology will cut back on some of those. And when we talk of fundraising, let's not look at it the Kenyan way. We are not talking of Harambes. We are talking of development mobilization, fundraisings. The details have been provided. If fully executed, that gap will be closed, and we'll be talking about a neutral budget. How is CESA intending to ensure this happens? I've already talked about the PFM Act 2015. There's also the PFM Regulations 2015, Public Procurement Disposal Act 2015. Without going into the oversights of the Treasury, and also without going into procurement plans and financial regulations, I want to assure you that robust measures have been put in place. Chapter 8, which is the last chapter, is one that I will not present on, but it largely talks about monitoring, performance, and evaluation frameworks. We look forward that with your approval, you will be available again. At the end of this, you will be available again. And CEO, I heard your appeal. You told them you need them every day. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure now we understand why we are needed every day. But midway, somewhere along the way, we hope you'll avail yourself when they are doing the midterm evaluation. And CEO and directors, I also pray that you will be courteous enough to invite the same team, even if not the same persons, to come back and assess you midway. Then the end-term review will be done, and that marks the total number of pages as has been presented to you. I now want to invite you, as I end my submission, for what we call the Q course. And this now will be moderated through the CESA Secretariat and also through my colleague, Dr. Mwadhi. Questions, comments, observations, and suggestions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I submit.
Thank you, Prof. I think it has been very clear. Amen, agree. And I think the presentation was beautiful. The slides were wonderful. We stuck our eyes on that. So for Prof, how many claps? 4. That's what the CEO said. How do we do it? Yeah? 4 factorial. I think our brother from Moma Bay can lead us on the 4 factorial. He must be understanding it from the other side.
Thank you, thank you. Let's go. I'm sure you're good students. Let's start 1, 2. Yes. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for that contribution, and we thank you for coming all the way. So we are going to proceed with. You've looked through the book, and you've seen some errors here and some there. I've noticed some also, and Professor, they have really assisted us. We've been in workshops with them, and we really worked on this. So I'll give Dr. so that he can lead us through the next program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Ogola, and for taking us through the entire document. In summary, it is well summarized. I like it, and it is so clear. I followed and I enjoyed. Even though I was part of the process, I really enjoyed the presentation. So thank you so much, Prof. So now, in the next few minutes, we can take questions, responses, comments from the plenary, and then we can respond. So we can take the first 5 questions, and then we can respond, and then we take another batch, and maybe the final one, and we close. Yes? Someone help me to circulate the microphone, the mic.
Thank you, the board, CEO, and thank you, Prof, for that very interactive summary. Just want to ask a couple of questions. Well, one question in particular regarding, it's in chapter, it's the implementation framework, where the clarity on the tax incentives or the fiscal incentives, mainly being the investor incentives and political stability, will be achieved in a period of 5 years. As an investor, clarity is paramount. And, my request is whether there can be further deliverables based off of timelines to say, whether when this tax incentives will be available and be implemented. Because right now there has been a bit of, I would say, a gap between gazettement of something and implementation of something.
Okay.
So is there an opportunity to accelerate incentivization through clarity of framework?
Yeah. Your name and your organization?
My name is Dean. I'm the Managing Director of Impact North, SEZ.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We've taken note of that and we will be responding. Thank you. Thank you so much. Another person? Another question? Or maybe comment, response, reaction? Another one here, and there is another one there. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very insightful, and fully support that SEZ Authority needs a strategic plan for 5 years and good start. My name is George Kapanaz. I'm a group CFO of Endeavor, owner of Tatu City. I have 2 questions. One is, in terms of projects, it was only Naivasha SEZ mentioned. I understand it's a public one, but there are a lot of private SEZs. Especially I want to bring up something that, in terms of Tatu City, there are some public roads that pass Tatu City, and that is something it's not under our control. And I think it's quite important to include something about assisting private SEZs, at least the infrastructures that goes close to them, to be maintained and upgraded. That's very important. Second question is, there's a power tariff that was mentioned many times by the government. It's a very big incentive, and a lot of investors that come, they ask about this, 5 cents. So, of course, it cannot be explicitly stated here, but at least somehow to address in the incentives, because that's a very big thing. And then, yes, I would like to get more clarity in this document about source of revenues for SEZ authorities and how these revenues will be collected. In our opinion, it is very, very important that SEZ authority has sufficient revenues? Is it from the budget or from SEZ itself? But it is like vital for a proper operation for SEZ Authority. And I just want to understand how you see that and how Authority sees it. Is it through requesting from the budget allocation, or it's a surcharge, or what is the vision? Because it depends. Once it's defined, it will impact the participation of SEZ developers, operators, and enterprises. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm told when you are making your comment or question, you can also face the camera. It's someone who is following from home or from the office somewhere, so wanting to see you. And I'm told the camera is there. Is that the camera? So as you ask, as you make that comment, you can turn for 1 minute so that someone from somewhere can see you. Okay. There were 2 more people, someone here and someone there. Then we go there.
Thank you very much. And just to appreciate the presentation by Professor as well as President of the Board and Management. Now, mine is an observation and a comment. On the challenges section, one aspect that I didn't see highlighted there is regarding the resource to do with land, particularly with regard to the public SEZs. I think is necessary to appreciate that unless we can have public land that has been insulated from any other use and set aside for future development, I think we are likely to see a short life in the program, particularly on the public side. That's my view. So I think we need to recognize it as a challenge and also have it in the strategy. What strategies would the institution have in terms of securing land for public SEZ development? The other one is to do with the utilities, and I think George from Tatu City has alluded to it, that I think is important to recognize one as a challenge in terms of the cost of utilities, because I think is one of the issues that most of the investors have been raising in different forums about the cost of utilities, particularly with power and also water, but I guess power starts out. And I think that also needs to come out in terms of the strategy. What strategies would the institution put in place to manage the cost of power going forward? Yeah. Thank you. Philip Derito with JICA. Yeah. Thank you.
Then we can take the last one and then we respond and then we take another batch. Okay, we will come.
My name is Pauline Jugu. I think I first want to appreciate the document. Sorry, I'm representing our executive director, Engineer Maurice Akech from National Construction Authority. My name is Pauline, Assistant Manager Strategy and Planning. Personally, I feel like I probably need 5 to 10 minutes on the floor. I don't know if you have that time. There are a lot of, with my background in planning, I think there are a lot of issues, especially if you look at the guidelines from Treasury, there are a lot of things you need to align your plan with. I don't know whether you will allow us to do that in writing, or do I submit them on the floor right now, systematically?
10 minutes. She can do that in writing? Yes, I think so.
Okay.
But 10 minutes is a lot.
Okay, thank you.
But you can give an overview. Quickly.
Basically, I know there's some things that are missing. If you go to probably check the tables under the guidelines from Treasury, if you look at the risk aspect, I appreciate that you have talked about the risks that are there. However, you have not talked about what we call consequence and likelihood that are supposed to be included in the table. Yeah. Then in the implementation matrix, there's a place where you're talking about developing a policy and implementing it. So because you have combined those two aspects of an activity, when you come to the performance indicator, you have used only one indicator. So you find that the target that you're putting across for the 5 years one of the activities is being lost because you're probably putting 100% on the first year, which is covering only for development. But for implementation, there should be a target for the 5 years. So probably consider how you're going to split that into different roles so to take care of each performance indicator. And then finally, when we talk about monitoring and evaluation, kindly check the guidelines for Chapter 8 under Treasury. Monitoring and evaluation has not really come out, especially when you look at the reporting framework 8.4, reporting framework and feedback mechanism, where you're supposed to touch on who are the consumers of these reports. I'm seeing you referring the board as the board of trustees twice, and I thought it's the board of directors, right? So there are just a few issues here and there are some errors. And then also, we've not seen the point of management. Where's the management coming in terms of monitoring and evaluation? So I think that is basically it, but we will type the rest and hand them over.
Thank you very much. That one tells that you are reading the document. Thank you. You are keen, you are attentive. Thank you so much, Pauline, for your contribution. And you can drop an email to Mageto, and give those details, because I can see you read the document. The last one, and then we can respond.
Yes, my name's Richard. I'm coming from Full Care Medical, SEZ Limited. First of all, I want to thank you for Cesar and Dr. Chelulu. As the Mr. said, SEZ give quality service. That's true. So far as no, I deal with different government departments. Cesar has provided the quality service. Every time I made trouble, I go to Dr. Chelulu's office. I say, Doctor, I made trouble. This department delay my license. This department delay my letters. He said, okay, give it to me. I make a call. So that's a very quick response, and there's no bureaucracy among it. Secondly, which I just advise that from investors' attitude, especially Chinese investors or quality Chinese investors, what we are afraid is that we don't understand the laws, especially among relating to taxes and customs. Because if you become a SEZ company, tax and custom laws are very important. So I just recommend, since in Kenya lots of people speak Chinese, especially young people speak Chinese, you can take one or two as an interpreter of the laws. Because so many times we go to KRA give, different people give different information, and it's all by words, and we cannot see the written laws or written documents or gazettements. That's really create a barrier, because sometimes say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, you should listen to him. Then we totally lost, and we may facing the fine or everything. Compliance is very important for us because we are a listed company. And, lots of investors, for example, they heard about some big manufacturers like Typho, they got fined by KRA because of not knowing these rules. They got afraid. They don't want to come. So that's a key question. Same as human resource. If you have more interpreter in Chinese, and he can say, okay, this is what's written in law, and the meaning is this. So many times we cannot get lost. The last, I want to confirm that we are manufacturer, and manufacturing is the bottom of a country's economic system. It's very important because, like today, we have totally 430 employees, 380 attend. That means they didn't go to towns. So it's very important. For the government, for stabilize of the society, you better you prefer them sitting in the factory instead of go to towns, do the things. That's what I want to emphasize. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you for your comment. CEO, you've heard that you're doing a good job, and the manufacturers they are appreciating your good work. And thank you for your comments and your questions. Now, I think I will give this to both CEO and the lead consultant. Some of the comments and the questions are directed to CENSA itself, the authority, and others the consultants can take care of. So can I start with the CEO? Those were six people. You can make some comments on what concerns CENSA, and then the consultants will respond. Like the questions from Pauline, they concern us more as consultants. CEO.
Thank you once again. I think this is the reason why we are here, so that we can get your views, whether you're a government agency or an investor or an employee. It really helps to enrich our document and some to do so that we can have something more practical that we can implement. Obviously, being there are a few SEZ that have been at the cornerstone of setting this program. So we appreciate the fact that you've taken the challenge. It has not been without problems. I want to specifically refer to Tatu City, Compact, Impact North, and African Economic Zones. So I know there have been many challenges. But until when you go through this, you will not know where the real problems are. It could not be, they could be small, but could affect. So in terms of tax implementation, yes, it's a challenge area. Especially recently when we started implementing Naivasha Special Economic Zone, we started seeing things that were not clear with private sector. This is the reason why we are amending our act. We want to ensure that we solidify the gains we've received so far. And I know during the session leading to the cabinet memo, we even suggested things like, why can't we lock tax for a period of time so that we can guarantee predictability? If we say tax be rated at a certain percentage, you enjoy that at the time of entry until the end of that period. So we will continue doing this. I know it's difficult to fix because interests are everywhere. Government still require taxes to run other programs outside of special economic zones. But of course, these are special area with special incentives, so we will work together. There are issues to do with energy. I think, was it last week, Mageto? We are fully engaged with EPRA to see to it when we say 5 shillings for Naivasha, and we say 10 shillings during peak hours everywhere else, and during off-peak 7 shillings and 42. What does that mean? So we are fully engaged on that. Of course, the challenge we have is that we have EPRA on one side, we've got Kenya Power on another side, and then you've got yourself. So fully engaged on that. But I also know that there are development elsewhere where in the future, and this is what we are advocating for, you could negotiate as a zone, power directly with KenGen on one side, and then engage KETRACO on the other to wheel your power to your zone so that you can have an agreed price without necessarily going through Kenya Power. Those things are coming. We don't know when they are going to be implemented or agreed upon. So we're trying to do everything possible with the current arrangement where it is indicated. I know we keep saying 5 shillings, and then there is also a talk of it should be above 220 or it should be connected to 220 kV. And therefore, if you are not at that point, you are at 66 and below, you cannot enjoy it. Those are the things we are trying to get clarity. It may take a few months before we get an answer, but we are fully engaged with EPRA with a view to clear that. Because even the big players such as Tatu City, you do not have 220 connection, isn't it? So it means it's on paper only. It cannot work. So with that, live with us. We will try to do something about it. You ask about the sources of our money. Of course, we are in the spirit of openness. We get our money through license for everyone. And then we also do, there's a fee we've not been charging, the documentation. I know many of you have not paid that. Maybe in the future we'll do that to enhance our revenues. We also get money through the leases we make in Naivasha. So those are the only two sources in terms of appropriation in aid. The one we generate ourselves. Of course, we get money from government as a grant, and through the support of JICA and other players, IFC, we've received funding for specific projects. We've engaged with you, and I know you've had very good ideas. And something, of course, being coming from goodwill from yourself, such as, could we, for example, if you make certain amount of sales, could you get 0.1% of that sale as revenue? Because the more independent we become, the better for you from government, isn't it? So that you can have quick and enhanced service delivery. We like those ideas, but of course we cannot just decide as an authority. It has to go through the public, it has to go through the National Treasury. We will propose such in the future. But good ideas. But for now, as I've said, we get money through licenses, leases, and partly documentation, which we've not done. We would like to follow examples such as there's Malaysia, I think Thailand, where I think even in Morocco as well, the authority do apply for permits and certain licenses such as immigration, work permits and those on behalf of clients, and they charge a fee for that. And they are enough to run the organization. Maybe we need to explore those, but again, those requires public participation. In terms of, there's a good idea about if you have a private zone, such as Tatu or any other, and there's a road leading to it. Of course, we want to advocate that, and that's something that's a good idea. Maybe we see to see how can we play a role without necessarily being seen to be lobbying for a private entity. You know, there's a problem in Kenya between a private entity, public procurement. So we need to see how to balance that. But it makes sense if I'm creating certain amount of jobs and bringing certain amount of revenue to the country, then it's possible to justify that. Something we need to discuss. Public planning, and I know somebody mentioned that. It's, currently, of course, we have one zone run by Special Economic Zone. That's the one in Naivasha. The rest of the public zone are either run by county or specific agency. Like in the case of Dogokundu, run by KPA, Consa run by Consa Technopolis, Rivertex run by Rivertex. So originally, if you remember, when the intentions were bigger or the programs was bigger, there were meant to be 3 zones. It was meant to be in Lamu, Nakuru, and Kisumu. But because government, by nature of its operation, is slow sometimes in funding this, that's why the program was expanded to be led by private sector, and that has been one of the best decisions, because SEZ is one of the few parastatals that deal entirely with private sector. So that has been a good thing. I think if we can prove that this concept works, and it has done so far, then we now need to talk about where else in future do we need to put special economic zone. We cannot have them all over. In Nairobi, you can have as many as 10. Why can't we have one big one, whether it's run by private or public? So we may have a better way of planning these things. And originally, if I remember where we've come from, the intention were for areas that were away from cities, you know, the Isiolos, the Marsabits, the Turkanas, where there's vast land, the coastal region. However, there are also areas that there are programs within our schemes that by nature of its operation require you to be near the airport, for example, logistics. So you cannot confine all this. I think it's a bigger conversation on that we may have to have as a country. Where do we want SEZ to go? Okay, it's beyond the authority. I think the rest of these others I'll want to give to the consultant, but I'll also want to have a board member or two to make comment. Thank you, Fulger, for the positive comments. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's genuinely from your heart. We try to do our best with the little resources we have to help. There have been many ideas in terms of, we live in a global world. We are positioning our zones as globally competitive. So I know at some point we had some conversation of, should we have our website being in different languages, or you have a click that allows you to convert our website into Chinese, for example, into French, the widely spoken languages across the world. Those ideas are there. For those development partners, including BPOs and business member organization who are willing to work with us to do this exercise, we'll welcome. Okay, it will be nice to have such environment. I also like the idea of maybe we need to hunt for specific skills of people who can meet our requirements while having certain additional advantages in terms of languages. For example, you are a good Chinese speaker and you are Kenyan and meet the requirements. We can do that. Those are good ideas. I think, and we, of course, as we do that, we make sure that we strongly feature the salient features, the value proposition we offer as an SEZ in Chinese, in any other language. Welcome ideas. That's the essence of us being here today. We can onboard those. Let me pass the mic before we give the consultant to one of the board members.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chelule, for being very, very clear. Actually, he touched on some of the issues that I thought I would answer, but since he's been very clear, I think I'll not touch much on that. But on the various revenue streams that are open to SEZ, I think we are open to have a conversation with you. I believe there are investment promotion organizations that can provide very specific, tailor-made, specialized services to you, which are very exclusive to you as opposed to your other investors. Maybe that's an area we could discuss if they are very specific, tailor-made, facilitative, consultative services that you feel the authority could do for you, maybe at a better price as opposed to what it will cost you out there. I think those are avenues which are open. I won't go much into that because Dr. Chelule, our CEO, has fully mentioned this. I think there's somebody who mentioned a certain aspect about things changing and you're not so sure how things, especially in your business plan. Now, allow me to say this. The Special Economic Zone license is very specific. It is specific to the kind of activity you're going to do. It is specific to the kind of manufacturing or the whatever activities you've planned as a business. So what we are suggesting is, right at inception, when you're putting up your plan and application to join the SEZ, we would wish that you provide us with full disclosure. One of the challenges we've found is that some investors come and tell you we're going to do this, and then somewhere along the line, they change and want to do something else. And it's not fully disclosed in the application. So sometimes right from the initial stage, we are not able to advise you appropriately because this is something you held at the back of your hand and it popped up much later in the process of your lifespan. And it gives some challenges. Yes, we know businesses are dynamic. They keep changing from time to time, which is all right. But let us know what kind of model you are going to operate over your span of time so that we can plan and know what activities will come in. If there are any activities later on in your business model that will change, what are the rules and regulations that might be done to accommodate you so that you can continue to be profitable. We know we live in a business environment. Things are dynamic. Your business is dynamic. It is subject to change. So, of course, we should be open to that. And again, we should be able to facilitate you. So we would request that you give us full disclosure of your business model, even over the period that you're going to run, so that if there are any things that happen, we'll be able to anticipate in advance, plan for them, meet the relevant agencies and thrash out all these matters so that at the time you're implementing your project, these issues don't come and become roadblocks We found this to be very, very helpful. If there is full disclosure of how you're going to run, how you're going to operate, how you'll implement your programs, and what kind of facilitation along the way you need. If there's any changes on legislation or other issues, then at that particular point, we already know at the back of our heads that maybe in year 5, somebody's business plan will change to this and that, and we can include that in some of our strategic plans and in our facilitation with government agencies and other organizations. We'll try that as much as possible. I think, let me also allow my co-director to say something.
Thank you. I just want to assist in reducing the pain for Richard. I'm a tax collector, and I understand that tax is complex. And at times when you are caught in enforcement, you are not happy. I don't want you to be unhappy. At KRA, we have a structured way of receiving your concerns and engaging you. A framework for stakeholder engagement, and then your specific request on the kiosks or the service centers that are there, and an escalation format is there. One of the things I want to discourage you is picking informal engagements, which then lead you into what you are saying. You are getting different kind of information. We have a specific and dedicated service charter between customs and the people in customs processes. We also have another one for dealing with domestic taxes in that area. So today, if you wrote, we'll know where your inquiry is. It will be given to the people who are calling taxpayer services, meaning you will be explained your concerns so that then you are able to comply, and they want to assist you to comply. And at some point, they may become your irritation thereafter, because once you have gotten in touch, it means any moment they are saying you are doing something, they will be calling you to say, can you do this so that you comply? Can you get your payment very early? So I'm encouraging you that you first of all go to the contact place. You have this concern, direct me to where it can be sorted out. Lastly, why I'm part of the board of directors is to synergize the requirement of the tax incentives that are in the Special Economic Zones Act, which are implemented on the other side. So normally when there is that conflict, we try as much as possible to initiate legal and regulatory changes to make sure that that is synergized. I may go ahead to say that currently you heard us speak about the EAC regulations dealing with the special economic zones. We are trying to advocate that they come because we have currently no legal framework that assists customs to implement that. And remember, for domestic taxes to be implemented, they rely on what customs has gazetted to be able then to give you the incentives of goods which are being purchased to go to the special economic zones. I'm just emphasizing that please knock in the right office, get the right information, because I work closely with the CEO to ensure that some of you do this. I'm aware that the government, through the national tax policy, is trying to make it predictable on how tax is going to run over a period of time. With that implementation, we expect that the export promotion schemes are part of what is recognized and how they will be put in that space to be able to operate without so much red tape that discourages any investor who wants to come in. What I've also observed is the way information is being sought, and especially people I call experts or professionals. They even seek advice from the KRA before they are done with CESA. That's a wrong approach. The best approach is to start with CESA. CESA will consult and will give what I call a single response, which then makes it easier for you to be given an informed opinion for which you will make your decision how to progress with your investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Directors, CEO Dr. Chilule. I want to thank the first tranche of questions and comments, participants, Dean, George, Philip, Pauline, and Richard. I will go straight to the issue raised by Pauline Njogu. You've raised issues about form and content. Allow me to report that this document is work in progress, and we were lucky that JICA offered to print it. Ordinarily, you know that stakeholder participation, you get a raw document, including NCA when they did theirs. You remember you only hosted it. So this was just a privilege, but this is meant to be a raw document. We will wait for your written submission. As one of the authors of the guidelines in the committee, I want to report that by the time we submit, we will be fully compliant, both in form and in structure. But I want to pay special attention to 3 areas you've asked. The one on separation of activities, that's quite good. You observed it. You're right. When these are not separated, you lose the measurements. So that we will relook how they were merged and we separate them. The risk table is incomplete. What you're raising are the likelihoods, the mitigations, and the mitigation measures. That will be included, including a color scheme and a key. So we observe that. The other issue, and thank you so much, Pauline, it just shows that, and I understand where you come from, being at the leadership of strategy. You are our good student. So we need to clap for her. Yeah. And I bet she's probably one of the few people who have read end to end. The moment she started speaking, I could tell she's read it end to end. Secondly, there was a question that I think I'll just make a global comment on it. And that is the issue on insulation of land. One of the challenges that we do observe, and truly, Philip, is the land issue. If these zones, whether public or private, are not properly gazetted and insulated, the issue of land encroachment is a big challenge. There's also the second issue of land ownership. And maybe just as a participant now, not as a consultant, there might be need, directors and CEOs, as you look at your legislative revisions, to also develop a special clause on the resource known as land under your authority. Because there are 2 things which you will address. One, you'll address what the investors have asked here, which is exemption, including on some of the rates. And we know that some of those rates are going to change in the next financial year, thanks to the finance bill, if it goes through, particularly the clause on land. Secondly, it will help protect ownership. Remember, when you get outside your zone, which currently is only 1, you then move into other owners' space. It will therefore be able to define that relationship between you and the county government, or you and any other private economic zone that has been designated. So the ownership is clear as to how far does it go and what rights and privileges are enjoyed. So thank you so much, Philip, for that. It's important that I would really beg that you put it in your regulations so that then you don't have to go through debates. Otherwise, thank you very much. I hand over back to my colleague.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you, CEO and the directors for those good responses. Now we can take another round. I don't know whether it is the final one. We can take another round of questions or comments. Yeah, I can see a number of them. So please give mics. One here, another one. I can see 4 people. Okay, and name where you come from and then your comment, your question.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the board and also the consultant. That was a good document, and as much as you've said it's a draft document, I would say good work. Now I have two issues. One is more of a suggestion. One is on synergy between, we know that the county government and the national government have come up with what they are calling KAIP. KAIP is a County Aggregation and Industrial Park. So in all the 47 counties, there will be a KAIP, County Aggregation and Industrial Park. And when I look at SEZA, there's also a lot about, and actually one of the areas we are looking is about industrial park, as to whether are we able to get some synergy. Because you see, the KAIP in every county will mostly, of course, every county will be looking at what are they strong in. There are some counties that are strong in agriculture, others are strong in probably in livestock. So you'll see counties coming up with different KAIPs. So probably SEZA, then you can look at what synergy can we derive from that, and also probably even in your strategic plan. The other aspect is on, now this is offering ourselves as KCB Group. KCB Group brings 126 years of experience, both in Kenya and 6 other countries. And so we are doing what we call value chain and ecosystem banking, where we look at SEZA, we look at the strategic plan, then we pledge to support the investors. Of course, there are various players. There is the investors, there is the business people, there is people from the diaspora, the FDIs. So we offer ourselves and our experience as KCB Group to advise and just to give using our experience, so that we of course have seen there is a gap. What was the gap again? From the, was it 15 billion, 14 billion? 11? Yeah, 11 billion, yeah. So it's money we are able to raise, but then of course it's also good that, because again of concentration risk, to bring all the parties in. So we bring our experience, and we offer ourselves as a bank that we can be able to work together on that. Thank you. Martin Gitahi, KCB Group. Thank you.
Martin. Comments? Next person.
My name is Paul Motuku from Compact FTZ. My main issue is about most of the time we import materials from abroad. And this one we are subjected to destination inspection from KEBS. My concern is about the rate at which we are told to pay 5% instead of the 0.6% of the custom value. So with this one, I raised concerns with the KEBS and also with the Dr. Chelule. And I don't know, KEBS, they are saying they don't have a formal information from SEZA about the 0.6% payable. Like we are operating in a foreign territory than the other institutions. So I wanted to know how far is this, because we are getting a lot of loss from our products. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That is noted. We'll be responding. Next person.
Okay, my name is Thomas Waengo from Tatu City. I just had 2 reactions. The first reaction is on what has been mentioned about the merger between SEZs and EPZs. So my question was on timing for this strategic plan. So I have seen within the document, I've not read the entire document, but I've scanned through. There's a mention that there's an ongoing process to be able to bring the two together. And if I go through the same document, I have not seen any mention of any threats or opportunities that arrive from that. And through the SWOT and the PESTEL, I don't see any mentions of EPZ. I know it comes with its own experience of almost 30 years. So definitely there could be some value addition in terms of what that program brings into the strategic plan. So I don't see that mentioned within the plan, and yet it affects the plan. And then on timing is whether when that happens, do we refine the plan again so that we bring it on board? So those are the concerns that I have about the same. And then the second issue was on the budgeting. I can see that through the resourcing, the resource gaps of 11 billion against 3.7 billion that the Exchequer provides to CESA. So I know the consultant mentioned that we need to be smart. So in terms of that budget gap projections, are we realistic in terms of being able to finance through other avenues 75% of what we expect to be able to implement this plan? Those are the two reactions that I had.
Thank you, Thomas, for that observation. Yeah, then the last one. Oh, we have two more. We have three more. Fine. Three more. Even another one.
Okay, my name is Anne Mufia Marungi, a partner with Viva Africa Consulting. And as I'd mentioned earlier, what we do is we advise many investors who are looking to come and set up within the special economic zones. And one key issue that keeps arising is the lack of clarity around policy. And so I noted, with a lot of enthusiasm that one of the key result areas is investment attraction. And to be very honest, there's been a great spike, I think, in the last year in interest around the special economic zones and the rules around what is expected and the interplay around that. And around this, there's been interest as to how the Special Economic Zones Authority is going to support investors within that spectrum, and also the Kenya Revenue Authority's role in supporting and providing clarity around what is expected. So I noted under, the strategy 5 of the key investment attraction as a key result area, that, there'll be investor incentive and policy stability. That's one of the key things that's going to be worked on. I just wanted to know from the authority, noting that this is something that is affecting investment today. It's something that we're seeing in practice. The lack of stabilization of policy is dissuading many investors from sinking roots today. Many of them actually come back and say, let's give it another year, or let's give it another 2 years. Let's see how this thing shapes up, and then we'll come back. So we want to know, are there activities already that are ongoing by the SEZ authority to firm up the policy stability side of things? When can we expect that to come through? And I think some of the things that have been coming up are: is there a threshold around employment? Is there a threshold around capital investment that's required? Is there a threshold as to how much forex should be coming into the enterprises? So that needs to be really, really clear, as those are key pain points for investors coming into the special economic zones. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Abraham Omonya from the International Committee of the Red Cross. Just some key points of concern. Of course, we are also under this SEZ program, and as we run along, we've noticed a few of the issues that would be very key just for us to be able to point out. One is the implementation, and maybe it's keen. I've not noticed anything to do with the SLS in terms of timeframes. We know they are very different. KRA has their own SLS. SEZ will have its own SLS, and in terms of time frames, it will be key for it to be pointed out. Again, the lead agency role. Again, the confusion comes in because we don't know where we are supposed to ask which question. Because at one time, something is being handled by an MDA, say KEBS, the way they have said. I believe this regime should be different, so maybe we look at it, because an import is handled differently from this program. Again, KRA comes in because it's a warehousing issue, and again there is the issue of implementation and the laws and regulations. Even enforcement, point of enforcement, there are so many. We have SEZ. I'm glad I've seen here under the proposed organization structure, under the Directorship of Regulatory Affairs, we have regulatory compliance and enforcement. But again, that is one point of entry. We have KRA, another point of entry, and we wouldn't want to get ourselves on the wrong footing. So that is very critical for us to be able maybe to look at how it can be included, system support, Do we have one point of contact? Currently, we are talking of e-citizen. And where are we in terms of implementation? Good for it to be put there so that we know we won't have a change again, because we are having many system changes. And maybe an alignment with international organizations that have international treaties, just to ensure that we have that assurance and stability. Because for us, like ICRC, we operate under a treaty, and there are some of the things that might be a challenge. If not handled now, in future, it can be a really big problem. Thank you.
There was another question
Yeah,
here.
here. Yeah, I'm Matthew Were. I work with the JKH Holding. It's a consulting firm with various experiences in trying to set up quite a few factories in export processing zones, authority, and even special economic zone. We have one zone gazetted recently in Mount Elgon, a bigger one also. So I have an issue here that I feel we left out, especially the way I should first appreciate the kind of work which has been done on this document, and also appreciate the management of special economic zone to have reached this level with that few level of staff. However, this bit of the infrastructural development, we are more on the soft part of it. There's the hard infrastructure where we are talking about maybe the zones themselves. I was expecting at least a component of a particular development within the public zones, whether it is a road or putting up some water reticulation or a sewer system or something like that. Some physical infrastructural development to be inside the strategic plan. But they have covered quite a lot on the soft part. This will give an indication of the kind of a standard of a public zone. I mean, it will give actually a standard for this other private zone to see how they have to do theirs also. So what we have currently, Tatu City has done very well. So we expect also the public zone to put in a lot of infrastructure development to attract people coming there, then moving mostly also to the private side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to strike a balance between the hard and the soft structure. There was another question.
Hi. Quickly.
Okay. She has allowed.
Ladies first.
That's okay. Thanks. First, I wish to appreciate that the plan has been well thought out, and it has been said here that a lot of stakeholders have been engaged. But I just thought I would see more Joyce from Kenya Association of Manufacturers. I thought I would just see more on especially investor relations, because when I look at your document, there's a lot of emphasis on manufacturing, whether we are powering growth through manufacturing or we are upscaling manufacturing and trade. But when it comes to real implementation plan, I don't see that being translated. It's still very generic at the level of implementation plan where the rubber meets the road. For instance, if you look at issues of investor relations, there are so many sector deep dives that we have done within the manufacturing sector. And the country ambition to grow our contribution to the GDP by 15%, I was hoping there would be numbers in terms of your targeting to see how you'll support manufacturing sector to get to those levels of contribution to GDP, whether it's from FDIs, but mainly in terms of investment attraction. The other area I see, I wanted to ask, is the multi-agency approach in how you arrived at the targets. Because in your plan, you've said we have a target to reach $10 billion of dollars or investments by 2027. But when I look at your target as CESA, it's $103.7 million. And so I was wondering, have you worked with your stakeholders to see how collectively you achieve the country vision of 10 billion? That is still missing, considering some of these investment attraction are handled by many other players, like it has been said, like Konza and other players. So From just internal planning, it would be good to know you have aligned that and you're clearly together in how you achieve the 10 billion overall. And then in your target, you're clear by saying you're contributing 5%, 10% of the 10 billion target, which is 103, just as an example. The other area is the indicators of where do you see these big investments coming from. I've seen you're targeting anchor investors, but it's just a generic statement. I still wouldn't know, have you analyzed where investments would best fit for this country of ours with highest skills and the land issues that have been brought? I was hoping to see some indicators aligned to where you would then target. And I've seen other countries saying we are targeting pharmaceutical, let's say from Ireland. I've seen you have partnership with the Irish. For instance, the Irish, they have a very strong strategy around how to target investors, and that can be a lesson to learn from them, very targeted, and to address specific problems in the country. The other area, I've seen you intend to raise 9 billion from other sources, and you're receiving 3.7. Is that adding up to 14 billion? Because you said your deficit is 11 billion. So I don't know whether it's the numbers that are not calculating in the maths. You said once you get 3.7 and your target to achieve this strategy is 14, but your variance is 11 billion. But in your plan, you intend to only raise 9 billion. So I'm wondering, where will the difference come, or have you worked out your priorities in a way that will pass for the next area of support? So for the time being, and then capacity building under the school. You said you want to be a premier institution for Africa. But when I look at those numbers, they don't reflect Africa because I think 50, you intend to train only 50 people. I don't know whether that's the number that's there. So there's a problem with numbers. Those are just examples I've given. If you plan to train only 50 people in 5 years and you want to be a premier institution for Africa, is that number reflective of Africa? Considering you also are a member of the Africa Economic Zones, is it, organization, how can you leverage on that organization to mobilize other players in there? But also I wish to ask that you expand your catchment, because you are looking to only train staff of SCZA and workers within SCZ. So many people need to have awareness of what SCZ is all about. Whether it's private sector players like us in industry, it could be government. There are so many stakeholders who can be trained as well so that you can mobilize as quickly as possible people who can occupy your facilities. Thank you.
Hi, a suggestion just to Cesar, in line with the strategic plan. What we found is that there is definitely a lag in investor appetite vis-a-vis what is currently going on ground. And what I mean by that is, and my suggestion is specifically to Cesar, we need to involve other parastatals like NEMA, like the Physical Planning Authority or the building authorities. We see a lag in 3 months to get NEMA approval. We see a lag in 4 months and 8 months to get physical planning approval to build a building. If there is an opportunity from a resourcing perspective to involve both NEMA and, let's say, the Kiambu County in our particular instance, to ensure that investments happen quickly, because if you don't have a NEMA approval, you can't apply to CESA for an enterprise license. So when someone arrives, like Richard has also mentioned, a full, complete framework to say, how do you register a business? How long does it take? How do you rent a building? What are the rules and regulations about it? If we have to get a NEMA approval document, how do we do it? How long does it take? If we have to go and get physical planning approval, how long does it take? If you can create this framework, it will definitely streamline investment.
Quite a number of questions for Cesar.
Excuse me, one more. Hopefully the final one. Abdul Razak Bonaya from Mitchell Courts SCZ. Let me first begin by congratulating Professor Ogolla for his excellent presentation, and then also the chair, the board, the CEO and staff of CESA, as well as JICA, for the development of this 2023-2027 strategic plan.
Mine is actually not a question but a comment, which relates to that which had been asked by the lady from consulting company Viva, who also consulted for us at the beginning of our project. And this is in relation to the question many investors ask on the issue of policy. So I would like to ask or comment that there is an SEZ policy, EAC SEZ policy, which was adopted in February 2023, sorry. And how far this particular strategic plan aligns with that policy is what I'm not sure of. So the gentleman from KRA, Wakili Ontweka, actually alluded to the issue of the development or the speeding up of the harmonization of regulations within the EAC. And what would be important for the rest of us is that in this document there should be some reference to that policy at the EAC level or the regional level, as well as a national policy on SEZ. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know whether I'm the one standing between you and lunch. This is, it's a very good and productive session. You know, sometimes when government officials sit, we are devoid of the real issues on the ground. So meeting you here, giving us your side of the story is also very important so that we can get grounded, can develop something that's practical. Let me start with Martin, and I'll try to see if I can answer as much as possible. KAIP. Actually, when we started KAIP, it was meant to be an SEZ program when it started. That's how we began. So we had a lot of meetings, and at some point, counties felt that they needed to own the process. Okay? That's why then it was referred to the county. And you can see KAIP is made up of two descriptions: county aggregation, and then there is the industrial park. Okay? So county aggregation means they are aggregating resources, and they can go further and add value at an industrial park if they set up together. Unfortunately, as a country, we're running out of land in certain key agricultural areas. Talk of Kisii, Nyamira, Kiambus, and a few other places. So, according to UNIDO, they didn't want a county, a KAIP in every county. They wanted one, for example, in Nyanza, we could have 2 industrial parks, but you can have aggregation centers everywhere and then aggregate resources. Our ideal position was we want to have a KAIP to feed into SEZ. So if you are in Nakuru, you feed into Naivasha. That is the thinking. However, the acreage stipulated in KAIP is, I think they need a minimum of 10 acres, which hardly qualifies as an SEZ. However, we're working with them. Some of them have said clearly. If you look at Homa Bay, their KAIP is next to SEZ. In Kirinyaga, the same. KAIP is next to SEZ. I think that's a situation we want to coexist in that way. Because KAIP does not enjoy incentives. It's just a modified version of Kenya industrial estates. Okay? If you can look at it that way. KCB, thank you for coming. We have a lot of, actually we have a lot in common that we need to work together. The funding in particular will be, I know, a big one. And I want to take this advantage to answer. There was a question asked on 9 billion. There is the funding of our infrastructure as SEZ and funding of private. Not so long ago, we had an investor who had a challenge, and it shows you there's a big problem. It's called corresponding bank, I think, something like that. So some of these investors come from countries where there is no corresponding bank locally. So that's an area. On funding of our infrastructure. We've engaged many players, and we are still ongoing. whether they are multilateral, they are specific banks abroad, and all those. So we are doing those proposal writing to add up. But the 9 billion, which I think it was Joyce who mentioned, remember, there are anticipated revenue earning streams within our zones. For example, management of sewer. Okay? In Naivasha, for example, we are trying to look at Naivasha as a zone for waste, what called circularity in waste. So we're looking at, it's a catchment for Narok town, Naivasha town, Nakuru town, part of Nairobi, Kichabe, Nyandarua, Ngong, so that we can take some waste from there, take it to the zone, generate power, and sell. So there are additional possible revenues that we hope will make up for this, but we need to start with the primary, the sewer, for example, or the power. Paul, we have a problem with some of our agencies, and I think it's purely because of lack of understanding. First, we are now, through the help of the fact that KRA is sitting in our board, we're trying to bridge the gap of misinformation or lack of information in terms of how to implement SEZ program. So we are working with KRA, having joint inspection, joint evaluation, and all those. 2 weeks ago, leading to the commissioning of the Jumbo project, we had a multi-agency team bringing together many parastatals that are involved, whether it's Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority, KEFIS, and others. No, KEFIS was not there, but we are including. So that we get to understand, even the counties, including Interior Ministry, security and all those. SEZ is technically not Kenya. Technically. So products coming from outside have not landed in Kenya. So something we want to understand. It's only when you sell a product to Kenya that the requirement of inspection and all those come in. Okay? So we are trying to get an understanding. Hopefully, as going into the future, we'll have proper clarity whether inspection is even required. Okay? Of course, we don't want you to bring an item that in the end is proven to have nuclear irradiation. That would have been a risk. And I'm sure those questions are coming in. The other misunderstanding we need also to understand, sometimes by choosing a certain code according to KRA, it's by default indicating that you are going to a country called Kenya when it is not. So all those things will come. We're going through a learning process for many agencies, including CESA. That we have to accept is something we'll bear with as we move along. But I'm sure within 1 year or two of implementing this, we will have covered as many sectors as possible. Okay? Therefore, learn a lot out of it. For Thomas, the major issue is an emotive subject in some areas. At least what I can guarantee you is the cabinet sat in February and issued a dispatch. In that dispatch, it said EPZ will be a scheme within SEZ program. So that one is clear. Now the question is how to move forward. There's no timelines. But there was also a circular issued by Head of Public Service, and we've had meetings on this, on not just CESA and EPZA, but other government parastatals. And if you notice in the current financial budget, there are parastatals that were allocated zero funding. Okay? And some of us have been affected, while others reduced. Those are indications. So we believe Macha is very soon for some parastatal, not exclusively to EPZ and SEZ, but it's coming because they are trying to harmonize programs. For us, we are trying to avoid confusion among investors. Okay? So that's coming. I cannot tell you the timeline, but we are seeking clarity with the higher authorities on when that can happen. I've already mentioned about how we are breaching the cap in terms of funding, but we're doing a lot of proposal writings, for sure. I'm sure you know, Thomas, you're already in one of our committees looking at resource mobilizing for African Economic Zone Conference. That's one such example. So, and we'll continue doing so. And we're learning a lot, trust me, very soon, and we are trying. Remember the process, and I'm sure I'm going to answer questions later on. There's an EAC SEZ policy that will feed into EAC regulations SEZ regulations, that will lead to amendment of ECMA, East African Community Custom Management Act. That then will inform Special Economic Zones Act, although we are ahead for Kenya, and then the regulations that come with it. So after the Act amendments in Kenya, we will then go into regulation and be very specific, and we will define those things, including what licenses, okay, should you hold, should you have a master license, a sub-developer license, a master operator, a master construction permit, service permit, and all those. Those things will come. We are now putting together various documents so that we can enhance, so that there is clarity. You come in, you know this is what it is. Employment threshold. At what point should we give you incentives to give us what jobs in what sector? Because if you are in manufacturing, the amount of jobs you will create will be different from a BPO, isn't it? So those things, out of our experience, we are starting to experience, and we already have some guide, including how we allocate land in Naivasha. You don't just come and say, I want 200, and you get 200. It must be determined by a factor, and we already have done some policies on the same. So those will become apparent as we move on. ICRC, I think where the challenge has always been, you are the pioneer in the logistics, so we're trying to harmonize these things. Ideally, we want to have a situation where under the, and again, we don't have capacity as we speak, OSS, one-stop shop. You should have all these agencies involved, whether it is NEMA, KRA, KEPS, all this, so that it is one start for you and one stop within the zone. So you're able to come in, make inquiries, research your business, get work permits, get your given an indication of NEMA. The challenge, obviously, with people like NEMA is that their processes are well anchored in the law. So if they say 1 month or 21 days, there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, but we are trying to see if I'm already a master plan, and I think I've articulated this in the past, that I've said this zone is for, let's say, logistics, and a company in logistics come in and invest as such. Do you still need NEMA when the first one has been approved? Can we write on the one that already exists, assuming your activities do not generate waste of any kind? Okay, those are the kind of things we are discussing, and in the process, through OSS, we'll have SLS with various agencies. If you are BRS, we're giving you a day to form a company. If you are KEPS, giving you 2 days to inspect, and all those. So we will refine. Obviously, as an authority, we've just expanded to 23. But when you look at the technical people, they are probably around 7. Okay? The rest are the supporting department, or 7 to 10. And we have quite a number of, in fact, out of the 23, quite a number of those are interns. Okay? So we still have a challenge. We will want to have a situation where in every OSS in a zone, because we must have one in a zone, we have an officer or 2 from CESA, several from KRA, and few other places. There was something on... of course, I want us to make it clear. I know the challenge of inspection comes as a result of which is your market. Is it the local or international? If you are transmitting outside, then the issue of inspection should not be an issue at all. I've mentioned about OSS. I think there was a question about where we should 70 to 80% of the land. So we've run out, and we've got a portfolio of another 10 to 20 companies wishing to get the remaining. So we're trying to do priorities. So what we've done, covered in this strategic plan, is Naivasha 1. Naivasha 2 is 5,000 acres. That is going through the process. I'm sure by the end of this week, the land will have been issued to CESA, and then we'll begin the process of planning for that. It may still come in. Remember, strategic plan also can be a live document somehow, so it can be incorporated somewhere during the midterm or as need arise. That we will adjust accordingly. But for Naivasha 1, we want to be fully operational, whatever is required. Remember, you're competing, and if the requirement is some of those sustainability issues, you don't have a sewer, then you can't compete globally. So we want to be fully. It will be about the roads, reticulations of power, electricity, and perimeter wall one-stop shop, everything for Naivasha 1. That's what that amount covers. Choice, you mentioned about investor relation and multi-agency approach. Actually, all those things, I think somehow they are already happening. In an ideal world, if we had one-stop shop working, I think some of these issues will not be an issue. But it will be keen to learn from Kenya Association of Manufacturers and others who have been very specific on which areas, according to better plan, has been focused on. We are coming from an environment where there was no one going into the zone, into this program. That's why, if you look at Naivasha, it was originally planned for textile. Even if in government planning, you will see Naivasha Textile Park. But no textile company has gone to Naivasha so far because of the nature of its, where it is. They want a lot of water and many other things. What has gone to Naivasha today, Naivasha is going to be the leader in electronic vehicle manufacturing. We've got around 10 companies. That is the focus. So you see, the focus is changing. However, it's nice as this program mature, we now become specific. We want to be in pharmaceuticals. I know Kericho and Muranga are focused on pharmaceuticals. And then we can know where to address. We go to India, go to China, we go to Ireland for specific investors. It will be easy to address at that point. But where we've come from, we were desperate to get this program going from those who are ahead of me. That's why we ended up accepting everybody, changing what was to be a single sector to be multi-sectoral. But it's gotten us where we are, and now we are in a situation where we can think about it. I think I'm almost coming to an end. I've addressed the issue of targeting of investors, the shortfall. I've also mentioned about the raising of A&A and how we are trying internally to raise our own beyond licenses and leases by offering services. Capacity building, you're right. I think maybe those numbers will adjust. As we've noted this. What we want to do is that we're trying to engage with UNECA, UNCTAD, and a few others to position Kenya as a center for training, because we have got successful. We are fairly okay. Of course, we are still behind the likes of Morocco, but I think for the rest of the continent we are. So we want in the future people to be making reference to Kenya, coming to Kenya to learn. We already have. We have very soon. We have Malawi coming soon. There's a team from Brazil next week. So already we are attracting a lot of people out there. Maybe the numbers are not adding up, but we do a lot of maths now with the consultant to make sure that we do that. But we want to partner with certain key strategic partners such as UNCTAD, even the JICAs of this world, to ensure that we have, as he said, academy or school as part of investor management, investor support, investor relation. We want to graduate people out of there, graduate investors out of it, and few ideas. For example, this monster called ESG, that every company will be asked before you export to a certain country. We can address it through this and have a working model that can help position our zone as being globally competitive. I think by and large, I don't know whether I've covered everything, but I've tried answering what was asked. If there is any more questions, we'll be happy to answer. But let's work the journey together.
Thank you, CEO, for those good responses. We are somewhere. I almost said if you have more questions or comments, Mr. Mageto has an email and also WhatsApp, but you are saying one.
Meshach Dwala is my name, from Homa Bay County. Thank you. Let me also add my voice to the team, Professor, the board, and the staff, and all those stakeholders who are involved in coming up this document. It's really, really a good document to start us off. I'm glad that you said some of the issues are being implemented. For there is no one, even if you do a good thing, there's no one best way of doing something. Somebody will find something to add to it, and that's why we are here today, to breathe some life to it. I had two concerns, but they have been addressed. That was on budget gap and also on implementation. But let me move very quickly to the first printed page. The first printed page. Just on observation. Mission. Mission. But even before the mission, vision, Prof, you'll convince me later why there's an S and not just hub. You promised, you've not done it. I know I'm your student. You'll help me at the fullness of time to appreciate, because I know vision is a dream of an institution, of an organization. It's a dream. So you'll help me understand. And if you convince me, I'll be very glad. I'm very flexible on that. On mission, if you look at what befell the world, the pandemic that we had, the COVID-19, when I look at your first line, where you are talking about globally competitive and sustainable investment destination, what comes to my thinking is about resilience. Because resilience is what will help the zones that we are trying to put forth to be able to withstand those calamities. They will always come. Sustainability is just about, how you are able to, the business as usual. But resilience, you go deeper. So I would appreciate if that can also be put on board, because that's also will address the issue of how business are able to recover when these things do come, because they'll come. And having said that, probably we move further and look at the key pillars or the key drivers that will be able to address that resilience. Then this just as on a light touch, when I look at this is now on core values. When I look at the stakeholders, I'm wondering whether if you step in the shoes of your stakeholders, whether transparency will resonate well with them, or accountability, or both. Just as food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that contribution. That's the challenge of working with people who went to school. They will see many things and they will challenge you. So thank you very much. We've noted all your comments. Joyce, thank you very much for... We need to do investor mapping. We need to map out investors. That's a good challenge from Joyce. So thank you very much, my friend, for all those challenges. And we take note of them, and we will we'll take care of them in the document. Before we say now this is the very, very final document, we will take care of all that. I was saying Mr. Mageto has an email and WhatsApp. You can align, you can send your comments. If you think there is something we've not covered, please you can forward. And I know Mageto has been talking to you because he invited you. So you can access his email or WhatsApp line and send whatever you think must go into the document. So thank you very much for that interactive session. I now want to hand over to the lead consultant to do his final bit. And then from there, we take it back to Senza. And we will be finalizing. Prof.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mwathi. We can clap for him. Let's clap for him. Sometimes we assume moderating is easy until you're put in that position. One of the things that impressed me, as you kept on mentioning your names, I was writing them down. I noticed Titus, while standing here, just kept on repeating people's names. Yeah, Pauline said this. Is that Dean? I'm waiting. Dean, can you say your name again? So that's something that is a gift we need to recognize, right? Yeah, because for me, I kept on trying to put the name down. Then you notice even when I was complimenting the first set, I was reading the names. This gentleman is just repeating people's names. It's a gift. Let's clap for him. I have only one role. But before I do that role, because it's the final icing to the ceremony, allow me to thank the board for sitting through. Allow me to thank each and every one of us, the contributors, those who will be sending their memorandums, whether through WhatsApp or through email. JICA for always being there. Actually, my entry into CESA, the first person I met was not even the CEO when he was starting this journey. I met Dr. Mashumi. He's the one who told me that this organization needs to have a strategic plan. So can you explain to me how we'll do it? And I tried, and we put our heads together, and today we are here. That's the commitment I was saying. Partners can really change a lot depending on how you engage them. And you can see the gentleman has given his life. He's been in this country for a couple of years now, over 10. You can hear. Just dedicated to this. I think as we live here, let's not forget to remember such heroes. You know, they say not all heroes put on capes. Having said that, my job was one. First is to assure you that all your comments, including the written submission, will be acted on. And being an examiner, I'll be ready to be examined. When we come for the launch, please, God giving us life and time, accost me if I'll not have done anything you requested. If I have no explanation, like Meshaka said, then consider me a failure in your exam. But I can assure you I'm not very easy to fail. So I will do everything. Please, Banamageto, you'll give your contact and let them send us more and more and more. If you have made, now I want to say something as I conclude. If you have made any comments in your document, any, now I'm being the teacher, the lecturer. These days we don't tell people to do rough work on the side. We say do it in the booklet. And then cross it when you are done. The reason we tell you to cross it, sometimes exams end and you have nothing written because you got lost. But you are scribbling things. We give you the benefit of doubt to mark your scribbles because it tells us what you are thinking. That is what we do these days. You know, we have to evolve with the time. Before we used to allow you do your... No, we say anything you are thinking, even if it doesn't look convincing, put it there. Then just cross with one line. Don't, you know, they paint it. No, don't paint it. Just cross with one line. In the event we realize you have not amassed enough marks, we then look at that just to figure out, was this person thinking correctly? That is enough to give you additional marks. So if you scribbled anything, our members of staff just move around quietly after we finish. Anybody who scribbled anything, they give us that, replace for them with a fresh book to carry home. Because those scribbles could carry what you never spoke. Are we together? So if you scribbled anything, just surrender that to us and carry the fresh book. But Amageto will go through those because inside there we'll find comments that were never spoken. Otherwise, my duty now, I want to move the motion. Through this participation, ladies and gentlemen, by show of hand or by acclamation, do we therefore declare that the CESA 2023-2027 strategic plan has been duly validated through an external public participation workshop? By show of hand or acclamation? We go by show of hands. I therefore want to submit CEO and directors that the process is complete. Our next move is after correction, we'll submit the copy to the State Department of Economic Planning. Paulina, I assure you, we will comply fully. And thanks for highlighting that. And after that, now it's quite fast because most of us are behind. I then hope that the board and the CEO will find it within their budget and the partners are here, including JICA, that we officially launch this document. Because as you've heard today, and I'm sure most of us are shocked, as you've heard today, CESA is a young baby navigating giant paths. Do we agree? It's a very young baby who is navigating giant paths. With that, I wish to submit. I know there's a vote of thanks to be given, but I wish to hand over the program back to Bwana Mageto. Then you can get brief from there. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Prof, for making your time coming here. Prof yesterday was so busy, he couldn't even discuss, but he's really tried to come and present a very wonderful presentation. So the strategic plan is over, and I'm very happy because Bonasiyo has been on my neck very, very badly. So, so I know the pressure should be able to be released. Otherwise, I think those who have not introduced themselves, I can see one or two. Did you introduce yourself? Yeah, I did. Okay. Any other person who did not introduce yourself? It's about lunchtime. I know your sons and daughters are in town, so so we will eat as fast as possible so that we are able to be at home early because they'll be coming later. For that, I'll request my director, Tia, Honorable Tia, so that she can give a vote of thanks on behalf of CESA. Thank you so much.
My name is Honorable Tia Galgalo. I'm one of the directors. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for participating in this very important activity for this special economic zone. And I'm happy that the consultants have already gotten a confirmation that you've been part of this process. Please allow me to thank all stakeholders from different institutions. And I don't want to mention by name, but you are all here. Your input is very important for all of us. We've heard you, and please feel appreciated for being here from morning to this time. I know you have quite a lot of things to do, but you found it fit to be part of this process to help CESA grow because we are working together as a team. I would also want to take this opportunity to thank the consultants. I'm sure they are good teachers. I've been a teacher before. As I was seated here, I was able to see through, I was able to follow, and it was simple, and you could easily understand what he was talking about. So thank you, Walimus, for your presentation. I would also want to take this opportunity to thank and appreciate our technical team. I know it's not been easy pulling these things together and ensuring that it's a document that is readable, that can be discussed. So CESA team, thank you, especially the technical team and also the staff. I would also want to take this opportunity to thank JICA. JICA, without you, would have been very difficult for us to appreciate. Thank you for working with us for all this time, from the time of inception up to this time when we can stand and see ourselves grow. So for your technical input, financial input, and also expertise that you've been having, we really appreciate you. And please take our thanks to your bosses and the rest of the other people. I would also want to thank the board of directors. Yeah, it's been a long journey. I know there were other board of directors, and we've not been able to reach this far. But all the little things that others did put together is what brought us today here to be able to talk about a special economic zone. For the CEO, we want to thank you for your leadership. I know you've not been there for a long time, but he's building this institution like it was there before, like 20 years, 10 years ago, and that shows a lot of commitment, and we thank you. For the management, I think they fed us very well. The atmosphere is good, despite the fact that we are fearing out there, the internal environment is super. Will you agree with me? Yes. Thank you, and we appreciate you, and we look forward to walking this journey together. We'll be better when we work together. Asanteni sana, and have a blessed afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. We have a prayer for lunch so that we go. But I think let the CEO just one word and then we
go. I don't want to stand in the way of lunch, but sincerely, I want to thank every one of you for coming. Please, our offices are open. I'm sure for those who come to us, it is not often, and I'm sure there is a witness on this, that you walk into a government entity and you walk direct to a CEO. We try to exercise openness. When there is time, we see you, and probably as soon as possible. We are busy, but we are willing to talk to you, to solve your problem, to give us ideas. That we will not stop. And with those remarks, I know we have other members of families in town, as he has said. I hope they will be safe, and we'll also be safe. Let us, from today, let's now count some remarkable steps towards achieving this. And the first milestone will be next year. I know we have a small matter of conference in November. We'll inform you accordingly. But every year, we said before, we want to have quarterly engagement with, as he said, stakeholders specifically. We endeavor to do that. So every quarter, we'll treat this on a course for this quarter. Come next quarter, from July, we'll also do the same. So that constant engagement with you means we minimize possible areas of confusion, we do clarity and all those. And I think with those remarks, I think we have Susan, who can do a closing prayer and pray for food.
So just an announcement, our lunch will be served at Lelai Restaurant. After these stairs, here in the front of this room, there are other stairs on the other side. So that's where the lunch will be served. And with those much remarks, let's pray for our lunch. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. We thank you for this gathering that we have just concluded. We pray, Heavenly Father, for all the input we have received and all the work that has gone into this strategic plan, that will make our organization shine, for our economy, for our country, and for all of us, Heavenly Father. We thank you and we glorify your name, for it is in the mighty name of Jesus I pray, believing and trusting. Amen.
Kenya will never be the same again. Embarking on a journey of economic transformation, the Special Economic Zones Authority, SEZA, has ushered in a new era of progress and prosperity. In November 2022, the Mombasa Industrial Park was officially gazetted as a special economic zone, laying the foundation for a wave of economic advancements. February 2023 witnessed a momentous occasion as His Excellency the President led the groundbreaking of the Taifa Gas SEZ Limited project in Dongo Kundu, Mombasa, reinforcing the commitment to sustainable development. On the international front, the East African community took a significant stride by adopting the EAC Special Economic Zone policy during its 43rd ordinary meeting. Additionally, Ministerial Regulation 123 on the treatment of products from special economic arrangements or zones under the AFCFTA was adopted, enhancing Kenya's global economic integration. March 2023 marked a pivotal moment in energy regulation, with power tariffs for SEZs, excluding Naivasha SEZ, gazetted under the Energy Act. This move aimed to create a competitive environment, setting the stage for sustainable growth. SEZA's commitment to visionary leadership continued with the recruitment of its first chief executive officer in April 2023. In June 2023, the Finance Act of 2023 was passed, streamlining and enhancing the Special Economic Zones incentive regime. The focus was on providing local market access for SEZ goods, coupled with improved fiscal incentives such as the exemption of capital gain and withholding taxes. As the nation moved towards comprehensive infrastructure development, September 2023 witnessed the completion of the first internal access road measuring 1.2 kilometers leading to a one-stop center and heavy industries cluster. November 2023 showcased the launch of Nairobi Gate Industrial Park's one-stop customs SEZ. 6 new SEZs, including the esteemed Rivertex, were gazetted, solidifying Kenya's position as a hub for economic innovation. Kenya's influence expanded globally as it was elected a steering member of the Africa Economic Zones Organization. The nation proudly secured the hosting rights for the 9th ISO Annual Conference in 2024. Notably, Tatu City SEZ and Konza SEZ received global recognition as 2 of the 9 African ESG model SEZs by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development UNCTAD during the 2023 ISO SEZ annual meeting in Tangier, Morocco. Closing out the year, December 2023 saw significant strides in legal framework development as public participation on the amendment of the SEZ Act of 2015 bill was successfully completed. Additionally, SEZA acquired its own leased offices at the 8th floor in Old Mutual Tower, providing a centralized hub for strategic operations. Entering 2024 with vigor, the 66 kilovolts power substation at Naivasha SEZ was commissioned by His Excellency the President. 6 investors at Naivasha SEZ were issued SEZ Enterprises licenses, underscoring the government's commitment to fostering economic activities. Further expanding the economic horizon, 2 government SEZs, Kirinyaga and Homa Bay, were officially gazetted in January 2024. A testament to SEZA's commitment, the authority facilitated the declaration and gazettement of 9 zones in 2023 and 2024, bringing the total to 36, of which 14 are licensed. Notably, 5 are private gazetted and 4 are public. In terms of enterprise licensing, SEZA has licensed 49 enterprises, domiciled in respective zones, creating a total of 3,601 jobs with an investment of more than $172 million. In 2023 alone, 21 enterprises were licensed, investing about $32 million and creating more than 1,500 jobs. The remaining 10 have projected to invest about $179 million, aiming to create more than 8,000 jobs, a promising trajectory for economic growth. Kenya's industrial transformation is on an upward trajectory. According to the Principal Secretary, State Department for Investment Promotion, Abubakar Hassan Abubakar, this positive trajectory is expected to continue in 2024, with more investors expected to invest in Kenya, taking advantage of improved investment.
During the year, we've been able to fix the institutional capacity of the Special Economic Zone Authority. We have been able to fix the policy, legal and regulatory gaps that investors were facing. We are basically investor-centric and we are being responsive to the investors' needs, investors' wants and investors' concerns. For going forward, we will be focusing on operational efficiency of the Special Economic Zone program. What we are going to do this 2024, for all those zones which have been gazetted, we will ensure that we are beginning to construct the development of those zones. And for those zones who are under development, we are going to ensure that we complete development and operationalize them for investor entry. And for those zones which have already been operationalized, we are going to focus on filling up the zone so that more industries can set up, we create jobs and export our goods to the rest of the world.
SEZA, a catalyst for economic transformation and global recognition. Join us as we continue to shape a future of growth, innovation, and sustainable success. A new